Gentlemen, do you remember back in the long, long ago, around, say, 2011, 2012, where there was this famous meme of Cinderella's fairy godmother just around saying, and at midnight, Halloween will end, and then bam, Christmas carols everywhere.
I don't
Well,
remember
while some stores have controlled themselves, but every year it just keeps getting closer and closer, and right at the stroke of midnight on November 1st, you start to hear some... Oh, God. She's here.
Mariah?
Oh, no. Get away. Get away, Mariah. I said no. It's not time yet. It's November.
Turn it off. We can only get 30 seconds before we get copyright stricken.
It was 15 seconds. I stopped.
Mariah, welcome back.
But yeah, it's November 6th. It is Halloween time is over. Spooky time is unfortunately done. And literally at the stroke of midnight, Christmas music invaded the airwaves, and I'm not ready for it. But we're not talking about Christmas music. We're not talking about Mariah Carey. We are actually talking about Willow here on episode 304 of the Fake Nerd Podcast. I'm Ben Magnet, of course, joined by Brandon T. McClure.
Yep, I'm here too.
The Queen of England, Ryan Eliopoulos.
It's me, I'm a brownie.
And Sparks Whitty.
I'm here also.
You are.
Boy, it's going to be a fun episode.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm sick. And so if I don't have something to say, I'm just going to be quiet.
That's fair.
That's just the way this one's going to go.
There's not a lot of news in this week. Truthfully, I think we're probably going to have a shorter episode than normal. But last time I said that, we probably had a longer episode than normal. So I shouldn't have jinxed it.
Not this week.
I will say that if you had told me back at like episode 30, that episode 304, we would be talking about the movie Willow.
Yeah.
I would have been like, why? I would have just never anticipated why.
Well, because we didn't know what show was coming out. That's how it works, baby.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those
doing
things.
this at the end of the month. We are doing this because at the end of the month there is a Willow TV series coming.
Yeah, and we can't talk about it next week because there's kind of a movie coming out next week that we're going to talk about.
A very important movie that's coming out next week, if I do say so myself.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, you've seen it?
Not that important. Let's be fair. It's just the sequel to Black Panther.
Yeah, just the sequel to one of the biggest Marvel films ever freaking made.
All right, we have links in the description though. Not many. This was not a big week for us. Let's see. I'm gonna do my thing real quick because mostly just personal links. There were no Fake Nerds watches, no Basement Arcades. You get a little bit of a break from those. I had a couple of articles that Screen Rant put up. I had a Dragon Ball retcon list that I fumbled my way through, but I had fun writing it because I like Dragon Ball and I like writing about Dragon Ball. That's up there. You can check that out. But I really want you guys to check out my article on Atomic Geekdom, where I talk about basically what we talked about last week. DC's quote-unquote Kevin Feige's Peter Safran and James Gunn took over DC Studios. I wrote a 2.5 to 3 page article on that. Really happy with how that turned out. I liked writing it a lot.
As you should be. It turned out great.
Thank you. I'm glad. I want you guys to check that out. That's linked below. If people watching this, people listening to this want to just read more of my thoughts on that, that's there. Please do. And I also put up my 30th. Number 30, not my 30th. It's my 20th. Number 30 of my Infinity Saga series. They're gonna slow down a little bit, even more so than they have been because just the holidays are coming up and things are crazy. Anyway, but this one was about one of our favorite MCU films, Ant-Man. I talked about Michael Douglas, kind of the importance of what I think was the importance of casting Michael Douglas as Hank Pym and Paul Rudd as Scott Lang, and kind of what that meant for that franchise and what that meant for where the MCU could go forward with that kind of that legacy aspect that they introduced that hadn't really been present prior.
Mm-hmm.
So that's there if you guys want to check that out. It's actually, it's my favorite that I've written so far. It's my favorite of the Infinity Saga pieces. I don't mind saying that. I don't mind playing favorites. It's my series. That's there. You can check that out. And Ben.
Yeah.
Now, lastly, the last link in the description is Ben's 3rd episode of D&D Dark.
Yep, episode 3 of D&D Dark is up. This one we're it's a bit of a two-parter because when I don't want to spoil what happens in the episode, but because when we record these in one big session, and our dungeon master Dan, he goes in and he cuts them up into like smaller chunks because when we record these, they're about like 3 or 4 hour tabletop sessions. But yeah, this is our first very large, very big dungeon that our party is going through, and I'm excited to what happens afterwards. You guys should enjoy it.
Hell yeah.
All right. Okay. I haven't listened to this one yet, but I'm eager.
Yeah, there's one part where I rolled a nat 20 with advantage, and when I was re-listening to it on my drive home from work, I just was laughing my ass off. It's like, oh my God, I actually did say that. And Dan and Grayson, they go in and edit it, and they add more things on top of it, and just makes it all the more better for it.
Love it.
Yeah. I really like how Dan edits the show. I think it's really good. I like all the extra sound effects and how it flows, and I think he's a pretty good editor for that.
He is an extremely good editor. It's him and Grayson who are doing the editing. And at one point they showed us the sound file of how they edit the show. And I would say that I used to have some decent sound editing skills. What they are doing in the raw file form, there's no way in hell I could do what they're doing. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna step away from this one. I've been out of Pro Tools practice for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's all the links in the description. If you guys want to check those out, we put a lot of work into these things, and we want people to check them out. So if you are so inclined, head on over to the About Us section, the description section, and check it out. Who wants to go first of the week?
I'll go. Just like last week, everything I did with Sparks. I don't usually talk about this, but I had a very bad mental health week, so I didn't do jack shit except play Skyrim and play Marvel Snap. So I played a lot of Marvel Snap. You guys should play that game. Legitimately, it's not a game of the year, but it is a game of the year contender with how good a free-to-play card game that Marvel put out is. It's very, very, very good. If you're a fan of, it's created by the people who made Hearthstone, which is the Blizzard people. It is the most. It takes off the whole point of Marvel Snap is it takes out all of the bullshit from card games. You have 6 turns and there are 3 lanes, and you just have to have the most power out of 2 to 3 lanes, and it's very fast. Every match is less than 3 minutes, but it's very it's a type of game where the matches are so quick, 45 minutes will go by and you're like, oh, I didn't realize I just played 10 matches in a row because it's so fast and it gets you in. And the cards are really great. There's so many artists giving their beautiful talents with these cards, and the upgrade system and the way that they dish out free currency. There is a battle pass you can buy, but I didn't buy it because I didn't want to spend money on it yet. It's really good. You're always earning something, and it goes up to it has thousands of levels, literally thousands of levels that because you get a point every time you play a game, and every time you get some more points, you get a new card, you get some experience to upgrade those cards. You start with regular cards, and then they get shiny, and then they get animated, and then things happen in the back. So you're always upgrading cards. That's your currency to make the coolest looking card. And there are variants for all the cards. It's funny that they're called variants. I think that's great. I have so much fun with it. Probably my favorite card game I played in years. And it helps that it's Marvel. If it was DC, if it was anything else, I'd love it just as much. But it is Marvel, and all the cards feel like the abilities they have are perfect for those characters. One of my favorite cards is Carnage, and he's a weak character, but if you put Carnage on your board, he eats all the other characters that are on your board and takes their power. So not only do you get a stronger card, you open up more spots to put other cards in. And every single card has different abilities like that. It's an incredible experience. I'm so shocked, and I resisted playing it for as long as I could. And then I was like, oh no, they got me. This is a good one.
If I might interject. Yeah. If I might interject, Ryan, because I remember on Twitter you were talking about Marvel Snap, and then I tweeted, I replied to it, and then he downloaded Marvel Snap. And
I was like, no.
You're like, no. And then 2 days later, there you go.
Yeah, it's when video game journalists and people who don't give a shit about Marvel going, oh no, this is a game. This is a real ass card game. That's when I knew I'll give it a shot. And then if you like Marvel, it's just there's so much attention to detail with every card and every location and the presentation. It's great. Love it. Everything I watched with Sparks this week. So whenever he talks, I'll just join him.
I do know you also, I know how your week was, but I know you read some comics.
I read comics. The
only one I wanted to hear a little bit about, because I saw you read it, I wanted to ask you because I know initially you were hesitant about them doing so many titles under it, is the Old Man Logan umbrella.
Yes, I read Jesus, I read almost every single old man comic that came out in the last couple of years, like yesterday. From like 12 to 4 a.m., I read like 50 comics just because I laid in bed and couldn't do shit. Yeah, Old Man Logan's a great comic, and it's a really cool. It's like a cool like post-apocalyptic world where all the villains won, and then they just kept coming back to it. I'm like, why? What's the value here? But like that was just me being stupid because every story can be good if you give it a chance. And it turns out it's like the closest approximation I can make. It's like The Walking Dead, where like the world is like shit and the people who live in it like shit, but it's the people who are good trying to survive. But it's all superheroes and supervillains. And obviously I love Doctor Doom, and his story is incredible. And like, it's just so fun. And like Old Man Quill, there's a 12-issue Old Man Guardians of the Galaxy story that's incredible. Maybe my favorite of the Old Man stuff. It's about Peter Quill and how like he basically caused like the apocalypse on Spartax when he was the emperor. He became emperor after his father, and he let bad shit happen, and he feels guilty about it, and he ran away. And the Guardians are like, "Yo, you need to come to Earth. It's really bad." So he goes to Earth, and then tons of shit happens. Really great stuff. Thank you for bringing it up. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great series. So many good stuff.
Did you listen to the Wastelanders audio series also, right?
I listened to, there's a Doctor Doom one. I listened to about half of it, and it's really cool. They put out multiples of those too. And yeah, Marvel podcasts have been pretty good lately as well. The last one I listened to was that Wolverine one years ago, but that was still really good. Yeah, comics are great. For a book club next week, spoilers, it's a Namor book. I read like 40 issues on Namor comics too. So like,
that's awesome.
I'm in the zone for Namor, baby.
Absolutely.
That's cool. I'm glad to hear that, especially about the old man stuff, because like I'd never really had any reason to know if that was worth spending time on.
I'll give you one.
It's cool to know.
Real quick, a one shot that they do is Old Man Quill goes to the Xavier mansion and it's destroyed. And he meets Kitty Pryde there, and like she's supposed to be dead. And it turns out the Shadow King has been living inside Cerebro for like 50 years as like a zombie Shadow Man, and just messes with people whoever comes to the mansion. So seeing Star-Lord from the Guardians of the Galaxy fight the Shadow King from the X-Men in a post-apocalyptic world, it's just something I never thought I'd see. I never expected it.
Sure.
And it's really cool. Like, and Taskmaster's the leader of like this Coliseum, and he just like feeds people to his Venom Devil Dinosaur, and it's just cool shit. Yeah, comics are great.
I love Venom Devil Dinosaur.
Yeah, it's cool shit.
We watched Hocus Pocus 2.
Yeah.
We made time for that before the Halloween time was over, and I really enjoyed a lot of it. I think that it's fun to watch actors who really love giving themselves completely over to a role, and love playing a role, and you can clearly tell, regardless of like what it is. Just watching actors enjoy it is great, and that's those three playing those sisters. They have such a good time, that it kind of didn't matter how good the rest of the film was. The film was good, but it didn't really matter because like them having the time of their lives playing them again is all I cared about. I really appreciated, Brandon, you haven't seen it yet, correct? Okay, yeah, but Ben did, and I
shook my head no.
Yeah. Excuse me. I really appreciated that everything they film in the woods and all that kind of stuff. It would have been really easy for them in the modern age to just go film in woods, but they specifically went out of their way to build the sets to look like the same sets for woods that they built in the original film, so that it feels like it's tonally consistent with the world of the original Hocus Pocus. Like the camera work and like the digital image will look better, but the effects of them flying, the set work of where they are, is all intentionally in tone with the original film, so that you don't feel like this dissonance. These things feel like they are aesthetically of the same piece.
Yeah, it's almost like it almost looks bad, but it's not. It doesn't. It's intentionally it's intentionally old school, like special effects is what they're trying to do. Yeah. Because like definitely like there's driving scenes, there's green screen flying scenes where it's like they are super clearly on a green screen that looks just like from 1995, but they do it on purpose. Instead of it being like, oh, it's a 2022, everything looks as perfect as it should be. Like, no, it looks old school and kind of shitty, but like in a fun way.
Yeah. That's really cool because a lot of people don't do that. And it's always great when you revisit a franchise of many years ago, and you have all this new technology at your disposal. Obviously, the people, the directors, the producers, the writers, they want to use all that new technology. I always prefer it though when they try to make it look like it is similar. It was filmed in a similar fashion to the original thing. I don't begrudge anyone from using the new technologies at their disposal, but if you try to like make it look like that original thing, you've already got my attention in a much more interesting way.
Yeah, the way that the woods of Salem look exactly like the woods of Salem did in the original Hocus Pocus without them having gone to a new location of woods to make it look more realistic or something. The fact that they decided, no, this has to look exactly the same as it did in the 90s really enamored me to it, because it does feel tonally consistent, and it feels really nice to have it be like, I feel like, oh yeah, I'm just going back to Hocus Pocus again.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like they knew not to put like a different set of expectations on it. They're like, you wanted more Hocus Pocus, this is literally more Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
That's all this is, and just have a good time with that. And like, yeah, cool, great. Yeah, I really appreciated that. I think I liken it to, you know, the part of Halloween Kills we all liked, which is the going back to 1978, the way that they made it look just like the way they filmed the shots differently, the way they lit the town differently to be consistent with the tone of 1978, so that it felt like you were watching deleted scenes from that movie. That's the same kind of thing here. Is these scenes look like they would have been shot in the 90s?
Yeah.
They're just on a nicer camera.
Sam Richardson is in this movie, and I didn't realize that, and he's just so fun. Like, and we just watched him in Werewolves Within, so like he's just having a good month for us. And Doug Jones comes back as Billy. Is that Billy? He comes back, but he's like a full role, and he talks the entire time. So like, I love when Doug Jones gets to act. Because oftentimes, like, he's obviously acting when he's a monster, but like he doesn't ever get to talk. So it's like, oh man, like Shape of Water, like you are an actor, you can do this shit, and then like, oh, you just get to be a character instead of just like running around as a zombie. Like that was fun. And
I like the way they use Tony Hale. I think they find a good way of like using fish out of water stuff with the Sanderson sisters, but without overplaying the trope.
Yeah,
it just feels very in tone with who those characters are.
Goofy.
Yeah, I like it. I especially like from their point of view, like they had one night where they were trying to catch up to the 90s, and now they have another night where they're trying to catch up to 2022, and already technology is so vastly different from the thing they experienced in the 90s.
Without spoilers, like they almost become like influencers in a way, which is like kind of fun, because like the trope of like, oh, people love you, like they grew up loving your stuff, so like you're famous now. And they're like, oh, people like us, let's use that against the other people. And I'm like, that's a cool idea. It was a good time.
I like the bewitching. They bewitch a group of people again, like they did in the first one, but I like the way they do it in this one more. I think it's really well integrated. The fact that there's like a whole dance aspect to it really works for me, but it feels like very creepy in its own way.
Very good, yeah.
Anyway, Hocus Pocus 2, very happy that they did it.
It was good.
I don't think you actually were down when we were watching this, but Marvel assembled She-Hulk.
No.
Okay, yeah. So I watched that with Megan and Katie, and Brandon, you can certainly jump in here to talk about it as well. But Marvel assembled She-Hulk, I really wanted to watch this one because I love the show, for starters. And thank you.
Tea delivery. Thank you.
Tea.
Yeah. Oh, I was really hoping you were going to pull out like a little teacup. Just I have tea.
So it's our R2D2 mug, which is not showing up quite right in this light, but
RTD2.
Yes, exactly. RTDT.
RTDT.
Yeah, I really wanted to see that, and I still highly recommend seeing the She-Hulk one, because it's really cool to see stuff about how they use like an actual body double for certain moments of She-Hulk to get like, you know, sizing and proportions and the way that outfits would look on her, kind of thing, which is where we know they had like, you know, a 6 foot 7 inches woman standing in, and then like where they have this, it just looks so cool. They have like the camera mounting thing. She's in the motion performance capture suit with the dots and everything, and then she's on this treadmill that keeps pace with her movements. So like it's not like she's just constantly walking, it's like she pushes it with where she decides to start and stop and all that kind of stuff, but it's elevated, so it's like rolling along because she has to be a certain height for everyone else to look at. So it's this treadmill thing on wheels that's carting along with the camera mounted. It's just a wild contraption of this way that I think is very innovative for how they had to film this almost all the time CGI lead character, and they had to be creative, and I really appreciate the gumption of that, and it's weird to see that amount of like tech and crew savviness applied to a sitcom.
Yeah. Is this 30 minutes or an hour?
It's about an hour.
Oh, nice. I'll watch that.
I really liked it. I really liked. Clearly, everybody just had a great time making the show. It all the more just makes me want a season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so pleased with how much fun everybody seemed to have. They have a great section about. So there's definitely like some stuff we've talked about. If you've watched our Fake Nerds, watch it, or you should. If you're watching She-Hulk, where we've talked about the mishandling of Titania, there's clearly some amount of dialogue that was supposed to happen in that courtroom scene, because there's a glimpse of it in Assembled where she's saying something. She's like jumped up and talking down to Jen, and we don't get that. So it's a shame that like that didn't quite land the way they want to. They talk a lot about what their intention was with Titania, and I feel like they didn't quite nail that. But then other than that, like everything that we get to hear is really cool about the show. Brandon, you go ahead.
Well, one of the things that I really like, just kind of bounce off what you said about like the way they filmed her, is when they actually filmed Tatiana Maslany when Jen is when Jen is transforming from She-Hulk to Tatiana. And so they film her on like a platform, and they have her high on a platform where her head would be. And then to get like the transition shot right, they lower the platform for her transition.
Smart.
And she's in her costume. And I thought that was really clever. I thought that was a really clever way of doing that. And Sparks is right. Like the idea that like if this wasn't a Marvel show, this would have been groundbreaking as a sitcom. Like the technology that they use in this is not used in sitcoms, and we see it as an MCU show more than a sitcom, and so people just kind of take this kind of level of technology for granted because that's just the technology they use in Marvel movies. But to see it applied to sitcom format, and to see these basically sitcom writers talk about how they utilize the technology and how they kind of were doing all these things that any other show would have found this to be like, this would have been the first ever sitcom to have a 100% CGI character. Like, it's really cool. It's a really cool look at behind the scenes that Sparks mentioned. Like I like the show too. I like the show a lot. So getting to see the kind of passion and love that they had for this show behind the scenes. There's a couple of pull quotes floating around that they reiterate in this thing that have been taken. Some of them have been taken out of context, to be fair, but one of them I really like is and people have already seen this, is like they were talking about Kevin and the idea that like Jessica had this idea, what if they were going to stunt cast it with like a John Hamm or a George Clooney, but then they're like, what if it's a robot? And every design, and they show some of the other designs for Kevin, and every single one of them, the concept artists have always put a baseball cap on them. Whether it's like a holographic baseball cap, it's like no matter what it was, there was a real baseball cap on it. And Kevin Feige was the one to be like, why is there a baseball cap on a robot? And Jessica was like, and that was so weird that was the thing that he couldn't get past, that there was a baseball cap on a robot. We turned you into a robot.
That's not realistic.
I liked it a lot. I liked watching it.
I think the one other anecdote, because I think everyone should watch it, but the one anecdote that I found like really fascinating, and then they show a version of what they're talking about in reference, and then like one of her transformations when she's with Bruce, and they talked about how they were trying to come up with the transformation between her states and how it's supposed to be more natural for her to do. And what they said they looked at like a lot of different kind of transformations that have been done in media. But what they ended up basing most of it off of was a time lapse of a strawberry ripening. And when they showed the footage of a strawberry doing that in a time lapse, and then the transition of her, I really saw how they applied that as an idea, and I thought that was really interesting.
That's cool.
So just a lot of fun tidbits. That's a great show. I'm very happy with it. So,
I love tidbits.
Yeah. Okay. So I watched the Sonic Frontiers short, and I kind of wish Ben had, because
I even told you to watch it, Ben.
I really wanted to talk about it.
I said, hold on. Well, if we're going to rag on Ben real quickly, I sent it to him the day it dropped. I said, hey, bud, you'd love this. Or I wasn't sure if you'd love it, but it was Sonic. I was like, hey, here's a Sonic.
6-minute animated short starring Knuckles and talking about adventure. Who'd want to watch that?
So anyway, I'm going to talk about it a bit here. Sorry for the spoilers for you, Ben. the reason I'm talking about it is because it's cool, and I was really glad I watched it, because what ends up happening is that there's apparently a whole lot of Sonic Adventure lore being tied into this. Knuckles has his narration flashes back to specific images from Sonic Adventure of Tikal and the Echidnas fighting over the Emerald, and then Knuckles sees the pink glow sparkle that was Tikal in present day is next to him again before he goes off up into the temple. And there's also a very subtle reference to chaos. So I'm very intrigued now by Frontiers, that it seems like it's very much pulling from a lot of Sonic Adventure lore, which is really, really fascinating. They were hitting a lot of particular buttons with what they were showing visually there, which is super intriguing. And it also shows that there's this implication that the place where Knuckles goes, the place where all our characters seem to go for the video game for Frontiers, is whoever created the emeralds. Seems to be this is what I'm saying, Ben. Seems to be the implication, or at least created the temple for the Master Emerald.
For audio listeners' eyes, Ben's eyes perked up when he said that.
I will fully admit that I am Boo Boo the Fool for not watching this sooner.
That line came up in our book club, by the way, Boo Boo the Fool.
Yeah, yep, it did.
I was looking, so I watched that short. I don't really have anything to say. It was fun. I liked it. But the Sonic Frontiers, a new Sonic Frontiers trailer dropped this week.
Yes.
Also, we're not talking about it in the news, but that was the first trailer that actually got me really interested in the game. I was like, oh, this actually looks varied and fun and engaging. Where was this trailer my whole life?
Yeah, the marketing for this game has been so interesting, because like up until like 4 days before it's released, they've shown us basically the same shit, the same big open world that doesn't look very engaging. That's like you put random assets into a big open world, and that's what the game looks like. You're right, Brandon. Like, this trailer showed us, no, we're going to many different biomes, much like you do in a Sonic game, but it's an open world version of it. So like, I'm less worried. Like, it still looks like an okay game. I'm not going to say it looks like the greatest game ever, but like, I'm certainly more intrigued now that I know, like a Mario game, we're going to so many other places. Because otherwise it looked like, so we're just going to be in this big open world. It looks like shit. That's boring. That's lame. No, it looks, you're riding sand sharks in a desert. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm going to wait for reviews, but I'm actually intrigued now.
If it didn't come out a day before God of War.
Oh, baby, I know.
I was more intrigued by the trailer. I was most intrigued by the short because of the lore information that it seems to be presenting. Mm-hmm. If the game is really dealing as heavily with the past lore as that short implies, this is a super, super interesting avenue, because like we're talking about stuff that like Sonic games for a while have not been backwards referencing their like major narrative forms and what they've been doing pretty much not counting Sonic Generations, which again, like, isn't so much doing it narratively as it's doing it aesthetically. Sonic Heroes was really the last one, if I'm correct, Ben, that like worked as part of a continuous narrative from the previous entries that had come before. Mm-hmm. And then everything else has been more like, we're telling the story we're telling right now. We're not really backwards referencing a lot of things or building upon the world that was established in previous games.
Yeah, the only like Sonic Heroes, really the only time they mentioned the past games was with Team Dark and Shadow Story. Everything else, like with like Chaotix, Sonic, and everything else, it was just them going forward. But with Team Dark being Shadow, Rouge, and Gamma, that was all about, is this the real Shadow? Because he fell from the Ark and presumably died. And then it's like, right. Oh shit, there's a lot of clones, and Gamma's like, the real one has to be around here somewhere.
Right.
So that was the only connection to Sonic Adventure 2, whereas all the other heroes, they're just like, now let's just go full steam ahead, new story, new plan, let's go have fun.
Choo-choo.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see if I hope it's good, because I would like to have a reason to play this, and I hope that it is really doing something with the lore the way that short is implying, because I would love that.
Hell yeah.
I would just like a good Sonic game. That's all I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Sure. Simpsons Treehouse of Horror that came out this year. I watched it with Ryan.
Yes. My first one in like 15 years.
Yeah, I have now. I've missed a few, but during this October season, I actually watched all of them. I managed to see all of them again. Some pretty good ones in the past decade that I missed.
Good.
But this one in particular was, I think, a very good one.
Yeah.
This is the one a lot of people know had the Death Note parody by the Death Note animation team.
Looks stupid good too.
Which looks stupid good.
Homer and Marge are like, wow, those are people. That's creepy.
I truly thought that Ryuk was going to be Bart.
Yeah.
Going into it, and the fact that it ended up being
He's L.
It seems that L. That did make sense. Bart is L.
L Barto,
which made a lot. But the fact that Ryuk is more like Mo, kind of surprised me. But I thought it was a really good Simpsons Treehouse story parody of Death Note, of Westworld.
Yeah, that one took me by surprise. That was great because it starts in like a really old episode, so it looks grainy and it looks old. I'm like, are they just replaying an old episode? And it's like, no, you're watching a scenario from Westworld happen about an old episode of Simpsons. And I'm like, oh my god, they got me so hard. And I queued in a little early because I was like, are they doing Westworld? And like they immediately just like they do the Westworld shit. I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. They even make the joke about it getting canceled before it actually got canceled. God damn it.
Yeah. How'd they do that?
They know.
And all in the neighboring parks and everything that they do. A lot of fun stuff there. And then the Pookadook.
Oh yeah, there was a Babadook one.
Which is the like genuinely some disturbing Simpsons imagery because the Babadook's imagery is disturbing and they adapt that into Simpsons, and so it's genuinely uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like
it's
the
actually like Marge
is,
trying to like murder a kid. Like it's like, man, it's like I forget because I haven't watched Simpsons in a while. Like they do get really grim sometimes.
Yeah, and they had the I thought the really nice like connection of how Maggie brings Marge back with touching the cheek and everything.
Oh yeah. That was cute.
Yeah, so just like so Babadook, Death Note, and Westworld were the parody options for the Treehouse this year, and I thought all three were really good. Really good. I don't talk about Simpsons a lot, but those were some good episodes.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
And then the last thing is Ryan and I have started the Midnight Club.
Mike Flanagan.
Yeah.
We're in it. We're about 3 in.
3 out of 10.
Really enjoying it.
Yep.
It's another good Mike Flanagan show.
Yeah, the Flanagan joints we talked about. It's like he makes shows that you want to binge because either they end in such an interesting way you want to keep going, or just like every character so intriguing, and like it's so hard once you start a show with someone to just wait for them to watch it. Because like every time I go upstairs by myself and I'm like, what if I just watched it by myself and then tell them? But I can't do that. I'm loving it. Like Midnight Mass was my favorite thing last year, and like he's just like this is so good so far. The character stuff, like Flanagan just writes like the most believable real characters, and like good. And it's a show about all terminally ill kids. Like it's really a really sad show, but it's really like
they find a lot of humor.
They find a lot of humor in it, and it's like really, really heartwarming. Like these dying kids making connections with each other. And obviously there's weird supernatural cult shit happening too. It's all interesting. Like it's love it.
Heather Langenkamp from the original Nightmare on Elm Street is in it, and she's very, very good.
Killing it.
A lot of the actors get to pull double duty because as they're telling stories, it's I like the way they're doing it.
It's like an anthology almost.
It's not consistent. In what I mean by that is, so every episode, one of the kids is telling a story, maybe more than one, is telling a story, and you're seeing a visualization for the story that they're telling. And some of the kids in the group might show up as characters in that story, and sometimes they won't.
Yeah.
And it's not like everybody's in it or that kind of thing. I like that. I can't like expect, when is so-and-so going to show up as, and who are they going to be here, or that kind of thing. Like, it's very like, yeah, maybe some of these characters might be played by the kids and they might be important and they might not be. And it kind of keeps you on your toes for where someone might show up.
It's really cool because the show does a thing where like these kids gather to they tell ghost stories every night at midnight. That's what the Midnight Club is. And every story they're telling might be their own story, but it also might not be, which is really fascinating. Because like there's a character who's missing a leg who talks about her stories about dancing. So like, is this you, or are you just telling a story that's kind of like you? And it's like, we don't get the answers, and that's really, really fascinating. It just leaves kind of everything like ambiguous, and I'm just like, man, it's really well written.
Yeah, and genuinely, like this last episode that we watched had a moment that made me like cover my mouth, kind of. I was like, I just didn't think they were going to go about a certain moment the way that they did.
Is it a murder?
Visually on screen, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I didn't think they were going to do that.
Yeah, it's yeah.
I thought somehow we were going to back out of that scene or skip over that moment or something, and then it happened, and I was like,
I thought, Mike Flanagan has made only like really like rated R like violent shit. So like when the show was announced and we seen the trailer, I didn't realize it was also rated R because it's about a bunch of kids. But very quickly you realize, no, this bad shit happens in the show too to these kids, and I'm like, man, yeah, it's so
I will say because like I think it's something funny and it's not really a spoiler, and it's something you can look for. Pretty sure it's episode 2. There's a part where one of the kids is looking at the wall, and I saw something that apparently no one else was seeing because everybody was looking at like, why is the mirror blurred out? Why isn't she seeing a clear visual of herself? And I'm like, there is a person in the wall. What are you talking about? And like, I was focusing on something totally different. So Mike Flanagan seems to be up to his tricks where he's hiding a lot of things presently in the frame for you to look for.
He's the ghost hider. That's his job. He's a ghost hiding.
And he's doing a good job. Mm-hmm. That's all I have to share.
Love it.
I wanted to say I haven't seen Midnight Mass or Midnight Club yet, but Ryan said that he's really great at like the cliffhanger endings for the episodes. It makes you just want to keep going. Bly Manor has one episode that ends in such a shocking way that I genuinely had no idea how the show could continue from that point. Like I just did not expect that there would be more episodes after what was clearly the end of the show. And so like it happened, and I was like, well, we're watching the next episode because there's 4 more episodes. I got to know what the hell happened.
Yeah, that was a binge show for me too.
Yeah. I know which part you're talking about for sure. For us, the most recent one, it was rough because we had to go to sleep. I had to go to sleep. But we were watching Midnight Club, and like there's this part that happens, and Ryan's like, oh God, please don't let that be the end, because it went to black screen for a moment, and then something happens, and he's like, oh thank God, there's more, and it's only for like another minute, and then it's the end of the episode, and he was like, God damn it.
It's so juicy. It even would have been juicier if it ended where I thought it was gonna end, but then we get more, and it's like, oh no, Mike, stop it. You're so good.
All right. Anything else from you two?
That's it for me.
All right.
Nope.
Watched a lot of Andor, but I can't talk about that here.
Oh yeah, I've now, Andor is like the one show that I've rewatched all the way through now because it's just like it's like crack. I can't get enough of it. Straight up crack.
Oh my God, I need to catch up on Andor.
Oh Ben.
Yes, you do. Ben, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I did not do a whole lot this week. Mostly this week. Really, it was just me preparing to just getting through the week so my vacation starts because I have 2 weeks off of work. Yay. And what I did do quite a bit was I kept playing the Pokemon trading card game for the Game Boy, not just for research because as of this recording tomorrow, my article on Go Nintendo is going to get published. So woohoo, look forward to that. But also because it's really freaking fun. Just like Ryan, I've also been playing a lot of card games. If you hear sizzling, fans making some food downstairs, so apologize for that noise. But I am just I'm kind of mad at myself because I never knew how to play the Pokemon card game when I was a kid. I'm pretty sure all of us, when we were buying Pokemon cards, we never knew how to play.
You don't know me.
And even when I would buy a starter deck, the rule books say that, like, I remember this vividly. My brother and I bought starter decks. We were in the car. We pulled the rule books out. We're about to read it. And the first sentence in that sucker is, do not read this unless you've played the Pokemon trading card game a few times. And we're sitting there going, what? How are we supposed to know how to play the game if we don't know how to play the game? Is there like another set that gives you like the basic rules and this is the more advanced one? And we just never caught on. And of course, years would go by. We would just buy cards to buy cards. And then I let all my cards go. I didn't throw them in a fire like Ryan did, and it just disappeared. Which
good memory. That's a good memory, then, that I did burn all my Pokemon cards in Teenage Inks.
Yeah. And now that I'm an adult, and the game, like the basis of my article is that the video game is the perfect way to learn how to play the card game in real life. And just like Ryan, you download Marvel Snap. there's a online version of Pokemon TCG that I can download off the Pokemon website with the modern rules.
Hell yeah.
Because remember, that game came out in like 2000, 2001, when the game was still young and only had the first 3 sets, the base, jungle, and fossil sets, whereas this one has like all the new rules, the VMAX rules, and yada, yada, yada. But now that I know how to play the game on the basics, because I have hung up a Snorlax card, an oversized Snorlax card, and even my Charmander and Cyndaquil cards, I can look at those and I know exactly what all the text means. I know what the little energy symbols mean. I know it all, or not know it all, but I understand it now. And it's kind of getting me into a bit of a rabbit hole where it's like I'm watching Pokemon card game videos on YouTube. It's giving me the itch where it's like I kind of want to go buy Pokemon cards now. Not just to collect, but also to build a deck to actually play the game and try and find people to play the game. So yeah, that's a weird little rabbit hole I've gone into, and it only took me 23 years to actually understand how to play the damn game.
Ben, every card game I've ever bought into, whether it's Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Magic the Gathering, I learned how to play those games through video games. Every collectible card game has a video game version of it, and like on the PS1 specifically, there was a Yu-Gi-Oh game that I played religiously. Like that.
Forbidden Memories.
100%.
Yeah, I had that one too. I did not like that game.
I don't even know if it's good, but I played the shit out of it.
What was the game? Well, we're on card games. What was the game that wasn't Yu-Gi-Oh, but it was like Duel Monsters or something?
Duel Masters.
Duel Masters. Thank you. I played that. I knew how to play that, Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh, but I never knew how to play Pokemon.
Masters. Is that like generic off-brand Yu-Gi-Oh?
It is.
There was an anime.
Hardcore. Yeah,
but there was
I remember the
anime
anime on Cartoon Network. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That looks just like a ripoff. That just looks like a ripoff.
Yeah,
looks like
I remember
Yu-Gi-Oh.
they made cards of those, and I knew how to play that game because I had a friend who knew how to play, and I knew how to play Magic and Once Upon a Time, and Yu-Gi-Oh I knew how to play, but that was it.
Yeah, it's
never understood Pokemon.
Yeah, and I remember because I even doing research for the article, I found a old commercial for the video game, and the whole marketing was like, hey kids, if you don't know how to play the Pokemon trading card game, buy the video game and it will teach you how to play. You could teach you how to, I mean, it's not a true one-to-one, but I gotta say, a lot of times especially when I buy video games loose, especially older games loose, there's no tutorial. So you have to look up the manual online and try and figure it out. Not the case with the Pokemon TCG. It teaches you, like you sit, new file, new game, right from the get-go. It will teach you step by step on how a turn goes, what you can do. And if you try to do something, it'll say, hey, you can't do that. You already did that step. And it is just like boom, boom, boom. I mean, there are a few things where I wish there was a card shop, and there's other things because it's not perfect. But if you want to learn how to play, it is a really good stepping stone in learning how to play the game in real life.
Hell yeah.
So
that's cool, man. I don't need to get that itch. Thank you.
I had that itch 20 years ago when I played the game.
Yeah, it's weird because now I'm playing this game. It's like, man, if I had known this, I actually would have be able to play with other kids on the schoolyard. But now that I'm almost 32, it's like, do I really want to start playing this game? I think I'll just.
This is what you do. You just bring your Game Boy and on your cards to an elementary school and going, I'm here to play with some kids. I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah, sure. Cops aren't going to show up at all. Yeah.
For legal purposes, I must say we are joking.
Yeah,
do not arrest us.
FBI guy, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that.
By the way, can I just say, I really like that millennials have all adopted we all have a personal FBI guy watching us joke. I'm really happy that became a clearly just millennial. We all just agree that there was one assigned to each of us.
We have an FBI agent assigned to us monitoring our every single move. But besides that, in other video game news, Ryan and I stepped back it was a brief moment, but it was a beautiful brief moment in time where we stepped into the lands between once again, for he helped me slay the mighty Lord of Dragons, a two-headed monstrosity known as Dragon Lord Pasigisax. It took us 7 times, but we did it. And Grayson can...
7? Double it.
It took us 14?
Ben, I took videos of every time we attempted it. It was like 12 to 14.
Jesus, never mind. I lied. 14
He's
times.
got the receipts, Ben.
because I thought I was taking videos too, but I guess I missed half of them.
You definitely didn't stop recording as much as I did, but I stopped recording every time we died. So I had I have 12 to 14 videos.
Okay, but but Grayson can attest this because he was listening to us when we took him down.
Yeah. I gotta get the files from Ben because I thought I can get them easily from PlayStation, but the files are too big, so I have to go to his house to get the files. So whenever I can do that, you'll have a video.
Yeah, just let me know when you want to come over. You're more than welcome to come over. But yeah, that was fun because that was the first time Ryan and I have actually been played Elden Ring together for quite a while.
Since probably my TV broke that one night.
That's right. Yeah.
Let me tell you, this is the first time I played Elden Ring on my new TV. That looks good. That's a good looking game.
It looks good, doesn't it?
That's a good looking game.
Yeah. So, and I was like, because I haven't played Elden Ring in quite a few weeks, and then I started because I would play with Grayson every once in a while, but I would play in his game. And then when Ryan came in, we were trying to play. It's like it was great because we were shaking the rust off, and we were just getting better and better and better. And that's just like, man, this is why I love playing video games, and why I love playing games like Elden Ring. Is even though like the first 2 times you'll just get they mop the floor with you, as you keep progressing and shaking the rust off, it's like, oh man, bring it on, let's go.
Hell yeah.
I'm sorry, Spark, stop looking at me for a minute.
I don't think I'm laughing at what you think I'm laughing.
Okay. Sorry,
But
I don't know what.
I'm sorry. I was fully listening to your story. I only got distracted because Brandon took his headphones off, and I forgot Brandon got a haircut. And so all
did you really?
his head was so much smaller than I was prepared for.
Okay.
I knew he was looking at me, so I heard the whole story, but I was really trying hard not to look at Sparks because that face makes me laugh.
There will be more Elden Ring videos in the future, and this time, Ben, I think I'm just gonna have you record to your YouTube channel because it's so much easier to just get one file than take 14 files.
All right. Yeah, that there will, because Ryan and I are gonna go try and beat the game on my game, and I'm gonna help him beat Melania. And also I want to try to beat this game before Friday because I'm gonna be getting God of War on Friday.
Oh yeah, we can do that. Easy money.
Ooh, I'm getting it on Wednesday. Oh man.
I mean, I want to get it on Wednesday, but I need to wait till Friday because there's not enough money on the account.
I mean,
that's beside the point.
I pre-ordered it, so it's coming in the mail.
Okay.
So, like, I get why.
Nice.
I pre-ordered it, but I don't know when I'll play it.
Don't worry, I'll play it.
I don't know, man.
Honestly, when I picked these 2 weeks off from it was mostly for my mom's birthday, which is today. Happy birthday, Mom. And my birthday, which is next week. And then I found out the two biggest games, God of War and Pokemon Scarlet Violet, coming out during my vacation. It's like, oh, I lucked out.
Yep, it's true.
Anything else, Ben?
No, that's pretty much it.
Cool. Yeah, okay. I'll talk about. First off, let me just say the new Quantum Leap show, great. I really like it. They did a Halloween episode that was very spooky. I enjoyed the hell out of it. There is an old Quantum Leap episode that I was hoping this was going to be a sequel to, where Sam falls down the stairs, and the whole episode becomes a dream. But he meets the devil, and so like he thinks that Al is talking to him, but it's actually the devil. And so there's all these murders happening around the town. He's trying to stop all the murders. And the devil says, "You think I wouldn't notice you trying to put right what I put wrong?" And I looked at that episode for a long time, and I was like, that is an excellent idea, actually giving Quantum Leap an antagonist to fight against.
The devil?
The devil. Because they talk about God in the show all the time. It's a very religious show. Because the idea is that they believe that God has taken over the quantum leap, like the act of quantum leaping. And that's why Sam has to keep doing a good deed every single time he leaps.
Is this secretly a Christian show?
No, it's definitely not a secret.
Oh, I'm never
show.
watching that show. Oh my god.
And so, but like it's not explicitly like, oh, they say God like every episode, but they are under the impression that the reason why Sam is not leaping back to the Quantum Leap program back home to 1995 is because he has become kind of this guardian angel that God is putting into places that went wrong, that God feels went wrong, and now he's putting Sam there to put it right. That's the original show. And I thought that would have been a really cool idea. I think Quantum Leap needs an antagonist. I know the evil leapers show up in the 5th season, but I think honestly that's 5 seasons too late. I understand the reason why they did that, but this new show has a really cool hook to it of the guy who's leaping is trying to get somewhere, specifically in time. We don't know why, and he they actually make this mention because it's new showrunner, but like same producer. So he says, so they say like he's there. So why am I put in these places, and why do I have to do a good deed in order to leap? And so like Ben's AI says, well, Sam Beckett thought that God was controlling the program and da da da. So they kind of like are also operating under a similar aspect, but this group don't believe it as much as Sam and Al did. But they do an Exorcist parody in the latest episode for Halloween. They do. Ben jumps into an exorcist, a priest, and they go to this house in this old house in 1930, and this demon is possessed this little girl, and it's very creepy, very well done, very spooky. Not a real demon. No spoilers. It's a scientific show about time travel. They're not going to introduce supernatural aspects. I wanted them to. A little disappointed they didn't, but it's fine. Great show.
Keep your sci-fi show a sci-fi show.
I know. I want a little supernatural here and there.
Is God supernatural? Is that? I mean, I guess so.
Yeah.
Supernatural would say so.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
I just
true.
like. For some reason I think of like cool demons and like God as different things, but that's because I read X-Men comics.
I mean, that was the premise of the fourth season of Supernatural. They couldn't believe that angels exist, but they're like, well, demons exist.
Yeah, that's true.
That's actually one of my favorite episodes of that show.
That was when the show was good, when they had to like confront the notion that like, wait, heaven's real. And it's like, well, hell's real. Why'd you assume you didn't like it? Just there wasn't anything else.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Thought you knew it all.
Anyway,
And then they did for 14 more years.
Anyway, the new Quantum Leap show is quite good. I really like it.
Yeah.
I got Zara into it this week thanks to the most recent episode. Happy to have just been wrong about that show.
Good.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Oh, there was something really juicy that happened in this, but it's a spoiler, so I won't say. I watched all 4 episodes of the latest season of Nailed It, which is that really stupid baking show that Nicole Byers puts on Netflix every couple of months.
It's a great show.
I really like it. It's a lot of fun. Nobody ever greases their pans, and that's becoming very frustrating after 7 seasons of the show.
I didn't like really watch the Halloween stuff that came out this year, but like other people did, and I did catch the part where she's like, I think he should win just because this actually tastes like cake.
Yes. Someone actually made a cake, and everyone's like, wait, this is a cake. So the hook of this season was that there were actors they were themed to be based on popular Netflix shows. So there was one that was Cobra Kai, there was one that was The Witcher, Umbrella Academy, and then one more that I've never seen the show, so I left my mind. Cobra Kai had an actor from the show as a guest host, and an actor from the show as a baker. And I thought that was really cool. That was a really fun dynamic. Very good episode. Liked it a whole lot. The Umbrella Academy episode had Rumor, the girl who plays Allison, as a guest judge, but no actor from the show as a baker. Okay, fine. These actors are popular. Sure, maybe it costs too much. The Witcher had no one. The Witcher had no one from the show. And I get it. You can't get Henry Cavill. I understand. I'm not expecting Henry Cavill to be a guest judge or a baker on that show. It'd be incredible, but I'm not expecting it. But like Jasper, like no one was available to do a guest judge spot for 30 minutes.
Yeah, maybe it was bad scheduling on their part, and like The Witcher was filming or something. Who knows?
Maybe it's my least favorite of the 3, mostly because it didn't get an actor from it, and like I thought the actors from the shows brought in a really fun dynamic that was really fun. Well, it was fun to watch. Which one was all right? Okay, I don't want to talk about Nailed It. That's more talk about Nailed It than I think that show deserved. But you got it. I watched a lot of Doctor Who this week. As I told you last week, I'm catching up because I want to see. Look, I want to see the 60th stuff. I want to see David Tennant return, but I also want to see Jodie Whittaker's run, and I never have. I stopped watching the show after Capaldi's first season, so I didn't watch the second season, and I liked Capaldi, and I like Clara, honestly, as a companion. But I didn't like the season, so I stopped watching, and that was kind of my like final straw with the show, that I was like, you know what, it's not for me anymore. That's fine. But because I'm kind of interested in the show again, I did want to go through it. And Zara hadn't seen any Capaldi, so I wanted to skip the season, but I can't because I'm watching it with Zara, and so we're watching the first season, Capaldi's first season, all the way through. And I remember why I stopped watching. It's not good. I like Capaldi a lot as the Doctor. I think he's a lot of fun. He's kind of this. I like it when the Doctor's kind of a grumpy old man. The kooky best friend of Matt Smith, and the younger Doctors are fun, but like seeing an older gentleman as the Doctor and just kind of be fed up with everyone is really fun. He's great, whip smart, a lot of fun dialogue. The episodes he gets this season in particular are just not well-written episodes, and that could be because there's always growing pains when you get a new Doctor and you're not really sure what the character is going to be like going forward, and that could be a lot of that. But it's been kind of a struggle. I'm not gonna give up this time, though. I'm gonna keep going. I want to see Whittaker as the Doctor, and I want to see the 60th.
I for the life of me can't remember a single episode from the first season of Capaldi, but I can remember like 5 from season 2 off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Season two's pretty strong right from the jump. In my opinion, of season 2 of Capaldi.
Of Capaldi. Oh yeah, I never got there. But I did remember liking. I did watch the first 2 episodes of that season, which are kind of a recreation of a Fourth Doctor episode where he meets Davros. I remember liking those quite a bit, and like that was kind of when Capaldi decided not to be like old man grumpy magician Doctor, but kind of like rock star old man Doctor. And I was
that was the good change.
That's the good shit. Yeah.
And I really liked that. I liked that a lot more than the Doctor his Doctor we followed in the first. Like he changes his outfit too. He's got longer hair. So like the first episode has this one where they go to the moon, and the moon's actually an egg, and the whole thing is like, are we gonna blow up this? And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. You're not gonna blow up the moon.
Yeah.
Piccolo did.
It's true.
Twice. I liked, but I like Clara. And this is also the episode. This is also the season that introduces. Although I forgot how prevalent it was, like the heaven stuff with Missy, like setting up the finale where everyone becomes Cybermen. Spoilers. And like all the dead become Cybermen.
I remember liking that stuff.
The end of almost every episode has a character die and then be interviewed by Missy, like, oh, welcome to paradise, welcome to heaven, and like that's what I forgot how prevalent that was. And I do like the actress who plays Missy. I've seen her in a lot of things since. She was in I haven't seen the season, but she was in Doom Patrol season 3 and 4. But I like her. The cast was never the issue. I just think that they weren't sure what to do with Capaldi in that first season. But I will say I finished a little bit more Doctor Who, sorry. Minuet in Hell and Invaders from Mars. Now those are 2 audio adventures from the 8th Doctor. I'm going through the 8th Doctor. I'm going to try my best to get through every 8th Doctor audio adventure eventually. The first arc ends with Minuet in Hell, and it's 4 standalone audio adventures. I talked a bit about them last week, the first day last week. The 4th one, they all kind of have like bumpers of this, like they're all each bookended by the TARDIS has a kind of this, like they describe it as like this kind of pterodactyl looking thing called a vortisaur, which was picked up in the time vortex accidentally by the Doctor. And the vortisaur really likes the Doctor's companion Charlie, this new chick that he picked up in the 1930s. so the Vortisaur kind of really likes it because really likes Charlie because she like feeds off of vortex energy, and that's why it's called a Vortisaur. And the Doctor was on a Zeppelin that was supposed to lose 44 people. 44 people were supposed to die. That's time. And the timeline says 44 people died, but only 43 people died, and that's the Doctor's fault. And so like he's feeling bad about it. He's like, okay, Charlie, you come with me, because she's the one who didn't die. And it's kind of like that's messing with Charlie's timeline. That's messing with time in general. And so like the Doctor's kind of dealing with that in the background while this is going on. Mini Witch in Hell was a lot of fun because that was set in America in the early 21st century when we introduced a 51st state called I never caught the name. You remember the 51st state that was run by demons. You remember.
Yeah.
And so the Doctor shows up and he's kind of like, I don't know who I am right now. And Charlie's like, I don't know who I am right now. But the Brigadier shows up. I love the Brigadier. He's my favorite classic character from Doctor Who. Brigadier Alistair Lethbridge Stewart. He's the Doctor's best friend. And it's really cool to see him paired with the 8th Doctor. This is the first time the 8th Doctor met him. They have a fun rapport. I like him a lot. It was really cool. He's got a very distinct voice, so it's kind of a very pleasing audio experience because of his voice. So I like that. And then the second arc starts with Invaders from Mars, which has a different format. And I actually think it's not as good as the first arc so far. And I hope the adventures get better. But so far, this one is introducing a lot. There's like mobsters and aliens that aren't Martians. And then Orson Welles is doing his like War of the Worlds audio. It's like radio play at the same time that actual aliens are invading, and then the Doctor, and there's a lot going on in this, and I'm almost done, and they haven't all come together yet, and it's fine, just a little hard to kind of get through. But I really like the 8th Doctor. He's always been my favorite, and I desperately hope for some more live action appearances from him, maybe in the 60th. You don't know,
Potentially.
I really dig him as the Doctor, and I'm really glad I'm listening to these. Just always kind of lamenting the fact that he never got that live action show that movie was supposed to lead into. The last thing I'll talk about is Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex, which was a short film that released thanks to Godzilla Day. There were 2 Gigan short films that released for Godzilla Day this week. I watched both of them. I like both of them. Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex rules. I think that short is awesome. I've seen it many times. Did any of you guys watch it?
Oh hell yeah, I watched it.
Yeah. I think that's so cool. So for those of you who don't know, it introduces a new style Gigan called Gigan Rex, and so like it's CGI. It's all computer generated. So this one is not the shoot motion one. That's the other one. It also has a cool new design for Godzilla. And there's all these Gigans around, and they're destroying the city, and Godzilla shows up, and Godzilla's fighting them. And then Gigan Rex shows up, and he's like an angel from Evangelion. And like his eye comes out, he like absorbs the souls of the other Gigans. It's wild. I loved it.
I'm not gonna lie, when I got to that part, I was like, okay, is Hideki Anno part of this? Because this is an angel from Evangelion.
Yeah, it was really cool because like the first, like the other Gigans, like their chainsaws in the center of their chest like get further out, like they like extend out, and like, oh, that's cool. And then like their souls are absorbed by Gigan Rex. I'm like, oh shit, that's rad.
Get in the Gigan, Shinji.
The short it's heavily hinted because the actress who narrates the beginning and the way they frame Godzilla in the beginning, even though it's a CGI recreation, is that it's Godzilla Jr. from Godzilla vs. Destroya. Like this is an extension of the Heisei era. That's not confirmed. It's a fan theory. It's a fan theory I really like. I like the idea that we've kind of seen that Godzilla at the end of Destroya come back from the dead, who came back from the dead thanks to his father's sacrifice. Was still kind of trucking along, and I like the design. If that is the case, that opens the possibilities for more Godzilla things to show up in different eras, and not just kind of doing whatever. We'll get into more Godzilla a little later, but I really liked it. It's still online. If you guys want to check it out, audience members, it's really cool. I liked it a hell of a lot.
It is very, very cool. Yeah.
All right. What is it called? Bread and butter?
Yeah.
News?
Babs time. News time.
Forgot what the hell we're doing. All right. Sad news up top. Aaron Carter. Singer Aaron Carter passed away this week at the age of 34. He was found dead in his bathtub.
Yeah. 34 is our age. That's very young. He definitely, his entire life, he had substance abuse problems growing up as a child star, can really mess with you. I was an Aaron Carter super fan when I was a kid. Oh my God. He beat Shaq. Remember that? Remember he beat Shaquille O'Neal? Holy shit. Hillary Duff made a really sweet post saying, "I know your life is hard. I hope you're resting now." And that's like really sweet. Cause if you know anything about Aaron Carter's history, he was really troubled. And it's a big bummer when somebody who goes through that kind of issues doesn't get to get past it. It's something that I desperately relate to. It's a shame. Like, I'm not going to say like I listened to Aaron Carter in the last 20 years of my life or anything, but like nobody deserves to go out at 34.
I would definitely, I remember very well when Aaron Carter was on top of the world on like Nickelodeon, Radio Disney Channel. It's like he was one of those top pop stars that we loved listening to. I felt like he was up there with NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, because I remember when his version of I Love Candy came out, that was constantly on Radio Disney. But instead of like going, oh God, not another one, myself, my brother, and a lot of the kids at school, we were singing it. We were like listening. We couldn't wait for the new Aaron Carter song to drop. It was like the day when NSYNC, Aaron Carter, they released a new song. It was Christmas for us.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't say that I was a huge Aaron Carter fan. I mean, Aaron Carter is definitely one of those artists that throughout my life that I would recognize as being a big part of my life for a sliver of time, but then I would just move on to other things.
Yeah.
And when I first saw like there was like I was scrolling through YouTube and there was like a news story clip of Aaron Carter presumed dead. I'm like, I hope not, and then all these memories came back, and then I was talking to Fanny about it later, and she's like, oh no, it's confirmed he died today. I'm like, that's sad.
Yeah.
And yeah, because you're right. No one deserves to go out at 34.
34 years old is 34 years old is not like, no matter who you are, honestly, it's tragic. Like if you die at 34, it's rough.
Yeah.
I was more familiar with Backstreet Boys and his brother Nick Carter.
Mm-hmm.
So his stuff was kind of like attached to that always. I know he opened for Backstreet Boys a lot, and he did a lot of stuff with them, obviously. So like I would hear his music, but I would still hear his music on the radio, and I wasn't really too big into music when I was a kid. But like the boy bands were my jam. Like I was really into them, and so like kind of had that like ancillary relationship with Aaron Carter. Man, it's tragic.
Yeah.
All right. Marvel Games have announced a partnership with EA. So EA and Marvel are going to develop at least 3 games together, starting with Iron Man. That's the kind of like a deal they've made.
Yeah, so Motive, who's making Dead Space, next game's Iron Man. There's been rumors for about a year that there's an open world Black Panther game that's being worked on. This pretty much confirms that they have 3 games in the works. This confirms that's probably the second one. So we're gonna have 2 different Black Panther games coming out the next couple of years, because there's that Captain America Black Panther World War II one. So that's great. EA had, if you guys remember, EA had the Star Wars license, and they kind of screwed that up, except for maybe Jedi Fallen Order. But they're EA's in a much better place now than they were, 5-10 years ago. So
I think this also gives me a lot more faith than that happened, because that was an exclusive deal. This is an exclusive.
Yeah.
There are plenty of companies
farming out 3 games.
Yeah, there are plenty of companies that are developing other Marvel games, and so it kind of gives like EA incentive to kind of be more competitive
Yeah, I want to say
rather than just kind of being like, oh, we put out a Star Wars game. We're the only game in town.
Yeah.
I want to say after the horrendous debacle that was Battlefront 2 when that sucker first launched, and when Disney finally stepped in, and I want to say they probably scared EA straight.
Yeah.
I want to say
they
once
100%
the Disney execs stepped in and said stop effing up, and that EA changed their tone and they have earned the trust back from Disney to work on these Marvel games. So at first, I mean, not gonna lie, part of me is still kind of but EA though, but at the same time, it's EA. They're one of the biggest game developers in the world, so they can't really. It's like, what are you gonna do? But as long as the product's good, I'm gonna be okay with it. Because eventually, Battlefront 2 did become really good. I really still enjoy Battlefront 2, and Fallen Order is really fun. I'm looking forward to the next game. So I'm staying hopefully optimistic.
It's kind of crazy that we're kind of looking down the barrel of many exciting Marvel games. Like even like not just the ones that are announced. Iron Man, the Captain America, Black Panther, Spider-Man 2, like Wolverine, like all these games that we're kind of looking at, like, yeah, I have no reason to think these aren't just going to be like great.
Yeah, and the thing again, you said it, Brandon. Like this isn't EA getting the exclusive rights. It's like, hey, do you guys want to make 3 games for us because we're popular? Yeah, like Dead Space looks pretty good. You want to do that with Iron Man? Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be a while before any of these games come out, but like it's exciting.
Yeah.
Which gives us time because when Spider-Man 2 drops, it's going to be like, oh boy.
I agree with what everyone said, and Ben will eventually play Miles Morales.
Yeah.
You should.
You got to play that game before the new one comes out.
I do have to play that game before the new one comes out. I really do.
Okay. Real quickly, kind of. I would have been bummed 2 years ago, maybe. Now maybe not so much. The Crooked Man. Crooked Man was going to get a spin-off movie in the Conjuring franchise. It is no longer. I kind of figured this was the case when there was no movement on this for like years. I'm definitely not as upset about it now, knowing who's running the Conjuring franchise, than I would have been like a couple of years ago when I really wanted a Crooked Man movie.
Now, my question is, we're getting The Nun 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of getting us another new creature, we're just going to get we're going to sequel to a fine movie. Instead of trying to do something. Okay, that's fine, whatever. The Crooked Man I love his design more than The Nun, so I'm bummed about this.
I won't lie that I like the design of the Crooked Man. I was just always like, but that was just Valak, like, using a rhyme.
That's true.
True. What was going to be... There was also just going to be a different Crooked Man with the same design that like Valak had adopted, I guess, for the scaring thing. Yeah. That was the one thing where I was like, I don't know if I need that story, but okay. Or if it was going to be like Valak had used the Crooked Man before, I guess it could have been a story.
Could be like deeper lore stuff. Yeah.
Or you're gonna hate this, Sparks. I'm so sorry. Or the movie was a Valak versus the Crooked Man, and that's why Valak uses the form of the Crooked Man, because she absorbs him at the end of this movie.
Oh no! The Queen is back. That's a terrible idea. Actually, I'm actually into the idea of demons fighting each other, but like you're right though. Like if this were 2 years ago, I'd be a little more bummed about it.
Right, like if it was James Wan still running the Crooked Man franchise, like at least I knew I was gonna get a fun. Like you corrected yourself. You shouldn't have. The Nun is bad. I like it. It's
the Crooked Man franchise.
Yeah, I correct myself.
Like the Nun is a bad movie. I like it in spite of that because I think it's a lot of fun. So at least I like it. At one point, I knew I was getting at least fun movies if they weren't very good. Yeah. But now I'm kind of like, well, now I'm just gonna get bland movies. So
I genuinely at this point kind of wish they'd just gone really hard, like harder on Annabelle Comes Home as like the capper of the Conjuring stories. Yeah. And then just that was it. No more.
Yeah, money.
Like that brings your really good Annabelle creation thing and your really good Conjuring story stuff. Bring it together and call it a day.
Not in the world where it's $1 billion franchise, unfortunately.
Well, if it was just in someone else's hands.
Yeah.
Crystal Lake.
What? This is wild.
Talk about being in someone else's hands.
Brian Fuller, that's what she said. Brian Fuller is developing a TV series on Peacock. Peacock has a straight-to-order series from A24 based on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, this is... I first saw the news, Crystal Lake prequel in development. I'm like, whatever. The creator of Hannibal is making it. Oh? Oh, word? And the rights with Jason are interesting because this isn't going to be Jason Voorhees mass killer. This is prequel, like, about Crystal Lake and the mom and stuff. So, like, we're gonna get like a really creepy, weird, like probably Bates Motel-esque show about the mom and Jason growing up and how he turned into who he is.
So they did, interestingly enough, say that while the movie rights are hazy, like we know that the first film is now under a different rights holder than the rest of the movies. So Jason Voorhees was not in the first film. So Brian Fuller was like, no, we have it all. The television rights were a different thing. We have everything. Everything Friday the 13th is available to us because we're a television show. And I think that's really cool. Yeah.
I still like people are really freaking out about the like, how do you do a Jason show without Jason? I'm like, y'all can't be creative at all, can you? Just it's especially with the creative team of like, man, Hannibal is probably like the grossest, best show to ever be on a cable. Is it cable? Like like
it was
a
NBC.
regular NBC. That is the grossest show that'll ever be on mainstream TV. There's no way, like that is an HBO level like, crafted show on the smallest screen possible. I couldn't believe it. So like, if he's going to be able to do that with a bigger budget on a streaming service, like, but with the Jason world, like, I'm cool with that. I think it's a great idea.
Brian Fuller has never made anything for television I didn't like.
Yeah. Is he pushing daisies?
Yep.
Jesus, what a guy. Yeah, no, like, this sounds awesome.
He's had some bad luck recently, and I really hope that changes with this. You know, he had Wisteria Lane, which was the Munsters reboot that he was going to do. That didn't end up happening. He developed Star Trek Discovery for a number of years. Sorry.
Mockingbird Lane.
Mockingbird Lane. Wisteria Lane, what's that?
I don't
Desperate
know.
Housewives.
That's Desperate Housewives.
Desperate Housewives, yeah.
Cool.
What are you
I just
watching,
remember,
man?
like the
I
second
was like, wait a minute, that's wrong.
like the second you said
Calling
Wisteria Lane, my brain just went straight to the freaking
Universal tour?
Universal Studio Tour, because you go down that street and I'm like, wait a minute, Wisteria Lane, that's Desperate Housewives.
I haven't watched the Rob Zombie Monsters film yet, but it's hard for me not to. When I saw the trailers for it, it was hard for me not to think about Mockingbird Lane and how much I wish that show had gotten made. If you've seen that pilot is exceptional.
He was supposed to do Star Trek Discovery before it was he either left or it was taken away from him, and Alex Kurtzman stepped on board to do the full development.
Yeah.
So
And American Gods.
American Gods, right?
After season 1.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Yeah, he did American Gods. Yeah, I hope this works out.
By all accounts, has an incredible first season, and then
Yeah. Yeah, I think with the type of show this is like basically creative freedom to do whatever you want, which is like do whatever you want that leads up to that first movie. And I'm like, cool. Like, yeah, dude, that sounds gross. I'm ready.
Or it could be like I mean, Bates Motel is kind of a Bates Motel doesn't exactly line up with the movie, but it's close. But like, so it could be like a complete reinvention. Like,
yeah, I mean, Bates Motel definitely takes liberties, but like, I like if you watch that show and then like, oh, I could see how this. Like, you know, I can see how it works. Yeah,
but like, I think Friday the 13th could do a reinvention TV show, or a prequel or a sequel. Like, there's ways that you can do this, and with Brian Foley, like honestly, like there's no reason why I shouldn't be excited.
Yeah. Especially because it's A24, and I don't know if they've done too many TV shows.
They haven't also done a lot of licensed stuff, a lot of licensed work. So.
That's true.
Cool. Godzilla Day happened this week. I already talked about it up top. Talk about it a bit more because the big news: Toho announced a new Godzilla movie is coming out next year. It is done filming. It's done filming. It is directed by Takashi Yamazaki. There were a lot of rumors starting in about March that this guy was directing a kaiju film for Toho, but Toho was keeping it wrapped under wraps. There were no footage leaked, no nothing. It was complete secrecy. We were not sure this was going to be a Godzilla movie. And to hear that it was really exciting. That we're like, well, oh hell yeah, because the fandom has wanted this guy to do a Godzilla movie since he did that ride. I don't know if you guys seen the footage for the ride. They're like a new design for Godzilla, and then like Ghidorah like crawls on all four legs at you, and it's a cool ride. It's a cool ride.
Was this the Universal Studios ride?
Not the Neon Genesis one, but yes.
Okay. All right.
No, it's not Universal Studios. It's a different theme park, but it's not the
Okay.
Neon Genesis. There's 2 Godzilla rides in Japan.
Okay.
Go figure. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm so excited to get another Godzilla movie from Toho.
Yeah, it's not a sequel to the first one. It's basically like a remake. Like they're going back to the 50s, and it's after World War II, and like Godzilla's like they're doing it again, and that's awesome. Like if they like a year ago, when they announced they're like, we're gonna do our own Toho MonsterVerse. Like, what does that mean? It's like, oh, we'll start from Godzilla and just build the universe as you do. I'm like,
well,
okay.
it also feels like they might have gotten away from that because it's been actually a number of years since they said they were doing that. And the Reiwa era, which is kind of the era that they've deemed they've adopted Shin Godzilla, but like that era has had such a variety of different Godzillas between Shin Godzilla, the Godzilla Earth trilogy, Singular Point. You kind of have like this people resonating with the fact that there are so many different takes on Godzilla coming from this era that this might be an indication that this is just another one of those. It's, as Ryan said, it is heavily rumored to be basically confirmed to be post World War II, 1940s Japan, complete reinvention, kind of bringing it back down, like a lot like what Shin Godzilla did, but for the modern day.
There's a picture. There's some pictures going online, and I don't know if they're real, but apparently there are leaks of what Godzilla looks like, and I've seen them, and it looks like old school Godzilla, but just looks better. He looks like the old ass Godzilla, but just like with a better suit. I'm like, if you're just doing that, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I'm November 3rd, 2023, a Godzilla's 69th anniversary.
Nice.
Now next year we are getting the sequel, the next installment of the MonsterVerse. We are getting a Godzilla TV series on Apple TV Plus, and we are getting this movie from Japan. The next year is going to be a good Godzilla year, guys.
That is, I mean, by all accounts, it is the biggest year of Godzilla.
Yeah.
Happy early birthday to us.
Squeak.
Yeah, should be a hell of a time. I'm really excited. Especially if like he uses the design from that ride, that Godzilla ride. That I really like that Godzilla design.
I need to check
I'm
that
so
out.
into it. You should. It's a cool ride. You won't understand a thing that's happening, but it's fun. It looks cool.
I'm all for good Godzilla design.
And this is going to be all CGI, kind of in the same way of Shin. Shin, I think, has some suitmation work, but most of it is CG. And I think this is going to be all CG.
That's
in
fine.
regards to like the monster.
I lament the days that we can't just have dudes in suits, but like CGI looks great, so I'm not mad about it.
Godzilla vs. Gigan, the second short that they released, the live action one, they uses the Final War stunt suit. That suit needs an upgrade because that thing is falling apart.
I was gonna say that that's see, you're right, CGI can look very good, but like it depends on how much they'll put into it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Obviously I hope that they will.
I gotta imagine this is gonna be a big budget movie.
I'm sure that's true. I mildly lament like stepping too far away from the physicality of the actual things, because like in my opinion, visually, while I enjoyed the design of like Gigan Rex and everything, I really liked the Godzilla vs. Gigan short simply because I was like, I felt what was happening.
Yes.
And
there's a weight that you just can't replicate without having dudes in suits.
Yeah, and I think there's a better blend that I think we haven't found yet. Maybe this film will, maybe it won't, but like I think there's a better answer than just like no suits, all CG, or no CG, all suits.
I'd like to think that this being our launching point, and it is like like a late 40s, early 50s Godzilla movie. There will be some practical, just because why not? Why not? Who knows? We'll see.
Do you guys remember a couple of years ago there was a clip roaming around from an unrelated Japanese movie produced by Toho, but it was a kind of slice of life dramedy that has a dream sequence with Godzilla in it. there was it's called Always Sunset on 3rd Street 2. It was the sequel to the first one.
Oh,
This
yes.
direct-
I do know what you're talking about. Yes.
This director did all 3 of those films, and then the second one there is an extended dream sequence where Godzilla is attacking the hometown of the main character.
Right.
And so this guy has used Godzilla twice in a before he gets the Godzilla movie.
Nice. He clearly likes him.
Yeah, I'm excited to get more Godzilla.
Year away.
Cool. I think I had more to say about that, but that's fine. Casting. Some casting news. Clancy Brown has been cast in Gen V, which is the boys' college spinoff series.
Oh, I was like, I have
Whoa.
no idea what the hell this is. But thank you. Okay.
So it's I think we saw behind the scenes footage a little while ago, but no official trailer at this point. But now we know Clancy Brown's in it, so cool.
Neat.
He's a great dude, Mr. Krabs.
The Penguin TV series has cast Kristen Milioti as Sophia Falcone.
Love it. I think she's great. I think that character is really cool. I love criminals in Gotham. This is a show about criminals in Gotham. Underwater, baby.
We saw she's the mother from How I
Yes.
Met Your Mother.
She's from Palm Springs as well.
Yeah.
Palm Springs.
Oh,
That was the one I
okay.
was thinking of.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like Palm Springs. I like that movie a lot. A Quiet Place Day 1 has cast Lupita Nyong'o in the lead.
Oh shit! Get me excited about a Quiet Place movie.
Yeah.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Oh, Paramount.
Is it Paramount?
Yeah, Quiet Place is Paramount.
All right, Lupita. Let's see if this movie's good though.
Star Wars: The Acolyte has cast Daphne Keane in an unspecified role.
And that's exciting.
That's a
Yep.
big old cast. That's a great cast, man.
Yeah, I love Daphne King. I'm glad to know where she's going after his Dark Materials airs next month.
It's not.
That's,
it's not Wolverine.
That's like my second most hype casting announcement of the week.
I think I know what the first one is. Agatha Coven of Chaos has cast a few actors. Ali On, Maria Dizia, Joe Locke from Heartstoppers, and Aubrey Plaza.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I guessed wrong.
You. Oh yeah, it's definitely Aubrey Plaza. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
it's 100% Aubrey
Legion,
Plaza.
baby, Legion.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this, but there was another one that I was more excited for, which is next.
Yeah. She's got to be playing someone witchy, and there are so many incredible, great supernatural characters that she can be in the Marvel universe. So whoever she ends up being, I'm just glad she's here because she rules. She's great on Legion, and I hope like, oh, that was her one comic role. I'm like, no, you can come back. Hell yeah.
Yeah, she's coming back.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very sorry about the farting car. I'm very excited for Aubrey Plaza to be in the show. I mean, look, we all love her. She's wonderful.
Super spicy.
I'm really excited to see her in a Marvel show. Joe Locke, it is not confirmed, and I actually don't think this is the case. But a lot of people believe he's playing Wiccan, which would kind of go back to some rumors that we've heard that Wiccan and Speed are in the show.
Yeah,
but I don't think he's playing Wiccan, although he kind of looks like him.
He does have a look for it. There's also a lot of like Agatha has a son, so a lot of people think he might be Nicholas Scratch, who is her son.
Sure.
I personally am leaning towards that because I think it makes more sense if this is a show about her. It'll be focusing on her and her family as opposed to other people's families.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that dude looks a lot like that younger kid grown up. So like either way, people. I haven't watched Heartstoppers. He's apparently awesome on that show. So like great cast all around.
Didn't she say the kid actor tweeted also?
He did tweet like, "Oh, any cool, interesting news today, Winky Face?" And I'm like,
specifically Agatha Winky Face.
Yeah. He's like, "Oh, guys, I'm just playing fun. I'm just having fun." Blah blah blah. I'm like, you know what you're doing.
I'm just being
good at this.
I'm just being a little internet troll.
Yeah, he's really good. That kid's funny.
I'm just gonna stir the pot.
He's fun. I hope he continues to play Wiccan, because at this point, the next time we see him, who the hell knows? He'll be old enough.
To be fair, yeah, like in a couple years, he'll be a teenager.
If we had to replace Abby Dean Foster, then we can replace these kids.
That's true. I don't agree with that decision, though.
What are you talking about?
Cassie.
Oh,
If
yeah.
we can replace the talented little girl who played Cassie, then these boys are replaceable.
Yeah.
After they sang that terrible ice cream song.
Oh.
True. Yeah, that little girl is like the best kid in the Marvel universe, and they got rid of her. That's so sad.
And the thing is, like, she could have pulled off the age gap at this point. By the time that they were in production on Quantumania, she would have been fine. But they made the choice they made. It's fine.
But no,
Catherine Newton's cool. That little girl was real good.
Yeah, because like she already had a chemistry with Paul Rudd. Whatever. Ant-Man and the Wasp was great. Go watch it. Wonder Man. Bob Odenkirk is in talks to star. He's not official yet. But you know how these things go.
What that means.
But Yahya Abdul-Mateen II is also in talks to star as the lead character of Wonder Man. That's the one I got most excited about. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah. Man, don't forget that also Ben Kingsley is reportedly in the show too as Trevor Slattery, the actor. Wonder Man is a Hollywood actor, so this very much. If Bob Odenkirk's in it, I guarantee he's probably some Hollywood dude. I doubt he's going to be a superhero or supervillain.
I forgot about this casting.
Yeah, this is awesome. And if you want, Wonder Man, I think, is a pretty cool character. Like he's obviously like not my favorite. He doesn't show up enough for him to be my favorite, but he's got a great presence and he has a great relationship with Wanda. The fact that it's Yaya, that dude's fine. And like Scarlet, like that couple, like Vision, get out of here. Sorry, bro, you lost. Vision, you got no chance against Yaya. You kidding me?
He's gonna steal that lady for sure.
Yeah, White Vision, get out of here. This definitely makes me more excited because like you could have just casted some boring white dude. I'm like, you don't have to. You don't have to. It's great. Yeah.
Sorry, Nathan Fillion.
Sorry, Nathan Fillion.
And you've been mateened.
You cut cameo.
Fillion is too old to play a lot of comic book roles at this point.
Yeah.
I think there would have been some pretty cool white people that they could have cast that I would have been excited for.
Yeah.
But I love this guy. I love this man so much. He's wonderful in everything I've seen him in. Black Manta. Oh, he's so good as Black Manta.
Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan. Oh man, I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, he's collecting big old roles like it's nothing.
And he's killing it each time.
Yeah. And it's just, again, it's like we hear rumors of a Wonder Man show, and it's like, are they gonna do Wonder Man? But then you look at like, yeah, they've done everything. They've done Guardians. They've done Ant-Man. Like everyone's gonna get touched after a while. A Wonder Man is a bigger profile than both Ant-Man and Guardians in terms of comic book status. So like he's got to show up eventually. It's right. Just it's really cool. And if they do the Hollywood angle, like where he's a Hollywood star trying to like be a celebrity and be a superhero, that especially with Yaya as the lead, like that could be super fun. Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff they can do here. I'm just saying, like, I'm real happy to see Yahya Abdul-Mateen there. I'm real happy to see Jonathan Majors. I question who's going to be the talented young black man who becomes T'Challa next, though.
I gotta watch Black Panther.
That's going to be the thing.
Yeah.
So I watched I didn't bring it up in the week thing, but I did watch the 2020 on Wakanda Forever because we have live TV now, and so it was there, and I was like, okay, I'll watch your 2020 discussion. And there's like some nice stuff because it's, some of it's talking about Chadwick Boseman and with his wife and things like that, and then talking about like what the same team came back intending to do just as much culturally for Mexican South American culture for Namor and his people that they did for Black Panther's
Wakanda.
Talokan.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And that was a really nice look. But they had this part that got me, which was this tease for like before a commercial break where they're like, and coming up, find out why no one else will ever play T'Challa. And I was like, all right, I mean, go for it. And then it's never addressed. They never say anything about it. It doesn't come up. It never comes up.
That's fine. Yeah, there's definitely there's been a lot of, because obviously the movie's coming out, a lot of interviews about Black Panther and T'Challa, and like I think we all agree that like Black Panther is a character who deserves to live, because that's what fiction, you're allowed to do that. For this movie specifically, the way Ryan Coogler talks about, he just cannot make this movie without replacing T'Challa. Like I get that. Like I get that for this movie. For the future,
yes,
it's a different story.
I also go back to this Van Lathan's, I think, very, very impassioned and reasonable argument point that he made on the Ringerverse about this, which is that he's not saying that T'Challa should have been replaced for this film. Certainly nobody was asking for that for this film, but to say that T'Challa will never be replaced, which is something that some of them have said, that T'Challa will never be recast, feels like a mistake, because he's like, we live in the real world where we lost Chadwick Boseman. We should not have to lose T'Challa also. That's too much of a blow to the Black community.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I still think John David Washington should have been the recast.
there are still plenty of talented young Black men out there. I'm not worried.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get it to T'Challa.
But will we get it when the MCU? That's never going to do that. I don't want to do that joke. All right. Some cancellations and a renewal at the little cherry renewal on the top. Stargirl has been canceled after season 3.
Also going?
That's why it's canceled. None of us are watching it. Ben didn't even know it was on.
I mean, I knew they had. I mean, we did it for the show. How many years ago now?
3,
2, 3. Yeah.
2 or 3 must have been, because I think I was still living at the Chino Hills, at my first Chino Hills house when we did it. But that was like 3 years ago. So I'm like, all right.
By all accounts, people like that show. I've definitely seen people repost the same fight scene over and over again, and yeah, it is a good looking fight scene. That show is made and executive produced by Jeff Johns, so I'm never going to watch it. Sorry.
I did like how there was a lot of kind of love going around towards the fight scenes, because I did appreciate until I kind of fell off. I watched a lot of that first season. I did appreciate how much wire work and stunt work like the actors did for the fight scenes, and like they really wanted to make those fight scenes look like comic book pages, and I thought that really came off. And Beck Bressinger, I believe her name is Bassinger. She's wonderful. I love her as Stargirl. Like I said, I just fell off, and they introduced Green Lantern last season. I thought that was cool.
Still burns my beans that we have Titans still going and Stargirl got 3 seasons, but Swamp Thing got 1.
I wonder if that was the Zaslav original. That was his very first tax card way back when I was like, oh, I can get away with this. Let's do this on everything in a couple of years.
You know what? I'll retroactively blame Zaslav. I don't care.
Yeah, me too. I just remember when after we talked about Stargirl, there was another show that shall not be named that I listened to, and then their first name was like, Stargirl, best DC show ever. I'm like, that is a very low bar, my guy.
Doom Patrol was on at the same time.
Doom Patrol's the best comic book show.
That's on TV, yeah. That's on TV right now, yeah.
Swamp Thing, based on what he said today, this week that I didn't put in the news, where Zaslav was like, yeah, we didn't cut anything that's gonna hurt us.
What a rude thing to say.
What a rude thing to say.
Yeah.
I'll blame Swamp Thing on him. I don't care.
Yeah, he loves a shovel and he loves digging himself deeper, no matter what he says.
Everything that Zaslav has been talking about, I just do not like this person. It makes me despise him even more.
What a cruel way to look at streaming. Just like, oh yeah, we'll just replace it with better things that are going to help us. That's not what streaming. That HBO Max needs to be the home for everything you've done. I'm sorry. Everything has value. Everything deserves to be seen. Like that's like saying, oh, Gone with the Wind doesn't add any cultural values. Let's just erase it from history forever.
Because it's old.
Just because it's old. Like, no, screw you. Everything deserves to be seen. It's all art. It's all out there. You can't erase it.
That's like the point of streaming service. It's like it's all there for you.
I really want to make a John Oliver style I do not like that man David Zaslav poem like he does with Ted Cruz a lot. I just can't think of anything off the top of my head.
We need to
I really want to do it because that's right, we don't have time. Because I do not like that man to David Zaslav at all.
I don't think any of us do.
Anybody here watch Tuca and Birdie?
Nope.
Wasn't that Netflix original?
It's canceled. It's Adult Swim. It's Adult Swim.
Oh, okay.
It's canceled.
Oh.
It was Adult Swim and moved to Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, Adult Swim canceled it. So Zaslav. I'll blame him. I don't care. I never saw the show, but I'll blame him.
Yeah.
I remember when it was. I thought it was canceled at one point in time, and then maybe Netflix picked it up again, and they're like, "Yay, Tuca and Birdie is saved." And
yes,
I don't know.
It's something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. I just remember it was on Adult Swim. It was popular, but they canceled it, and then it was picked up again. And now they cancel it again. So,
season 3.
Animation's in a bad place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And Westworld was canceled after season 4.
Yeah. And like, the ratings are not what they used to be. Like everyone knows that. The real shitty thing is season 4 ends on a mega cliffhanger where season 5 is going to be like the wrap up of the entire 4-year story. Like everything is culminating to this. And then we're just never going to get the ending. And even though I loved Westworld season 4 until the ending, I think the ending's bad. I think the cliffhanger is incredibly interesting. And it's really disheartening that like you can't just give them the finale. Like, even if it's not like your highest rated show, it's not like the worst show on TV. Like the worst season of Westworld is still better than a lot of TV shows, in my opinion.
And again, importantly, this being kind of like the Glow situation, when Glow was canceled, the actors are all under contract. They are still having to pay them for the season.
They're still going to get those millions, baby.
So since they're already still having to put the money into it, it's all the more like, why not just make the last season?
Yeah.
And Glow was the same. Glow was its last season, was the one that they were going to make. It remains like, just do the damn thing. What are you doing?
And by all accounts, again, with not going into spoilers, the final season of Westworld would be scaled back, and it would be like season 1 again, where it's all back in the park and dealing with personal stuff again. That was the trajectory. It was blowing out to blow back in. And now we're just not gonna. It's real. This one really pumped me out. Because like people don't like season 2. The show, if you're going to cancel the show, you should have done it after season 2. Season 3 is better. You should have done it then. But like, it's Zaslav now here. He's like, oh, the season's actually pretty okay. Cancel it. Like, God damn it.
Yeah, he's kind of we talked about it before. Zaslav's kind of hard line at like, what have you done for me lately? Like, it doesn't matter. All he sees, ratings dipped. I can save some money if I do this, which he's not actually saving that much money. What he's saving some of the production budget. He's got to pay all those people.
Yeah, and I have to imagine all those Westworld sets have been built for years. Like, they keep going to the same places.
No, they'd have to rebuild the original park set because that was the one that burned down during season 3's
Oh, that's
production.
right.
So they'd have to rebuild it.
I forgot all about that. Damn, that sucks.
That's what did it.
This one's a super big bummer. Because Westworld is one of my favorite shows. Like, season 1 is one of the greatest pieces of television ever made. And like, I will always have that. So I'm happy at least I got that.
Yeah. I was shocked, honestly. But here's the cherry on top. The Sandman was renewed for season 2.
Yay.
I'm happy to see that. I know Neil Gaiman is. By all accounts, I have not started the show yet, but I'm happy to see that it did well enough to get that second season.
I'm happy to see that too. I'm happy to watch that show. I'm looking forward to it. Netflix hesitating this long makes me lack confidence in the longevity of it, because like I feel like Netflix has shown that it's kind of arbitrary how many people are watching a thing. Mm-hmm. I'm nervous that like, yes, we'll come back for season 2, and then Netflix will decide, yeah, okay, but that was it though.
That's really expensive too. So
yeah,
like if those numbers don't bump up, like
because they didn't seem to have confidence in it enough to say so when they knew people were asking about it.
It's true.
Makes me hesitant that they'll greenlight more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It is kind of, you kind of look at that thinking like, oh well, it's going to be kind of a fight every season because the numbers have to be so high to get Netflix to think that it's worth it to keep going. I'm
really glad that there's just so much this year, which is one of the reasons I haven't touched Sandman yet. Mm-hmm. I'm really glad that show got made, that everyone seems to really care about the material. A great cast seems to be behind a good crew. I wish that show were pretty much anywhere else but Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
I guess not at HBO either, apparently.
Yeah.
But pretty much anywhere else but those two, because
Hulu,
I would
maybe?
have more confidence that it would have its full support and life get to run.
Yeah.
Maybe a Hulu.
Or a Paramount Plus.
Or Paramount, yeah.
Ooh.
Exactly.
My language. All right. Trailers.
T-Talk.
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 The Eternal Daughter. Tilda Swinton and Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, this looks like an A24 movie.
Yeah,
doesn't
totally. The second I saw the A24 logo, I'm like, oh shit, here we go again.
It's also, it looks like it's shot with like a camera from 1999, which is very interesting. It's got a really unique, like old look to it that I really like. It just seems like a spooky mom and daughter go to a place and it gets spooky kind of movie.
Tilda Swinton's pulling double duty, which it took me a little while as I was watching this trailer. It's like, is that Tilda Swinton's playing the mom and the daughter? It's like, oh shit, it is.
Very apparent the second I saw it.
Oh yeah, no, I caught
Like
it.
she's wearing a lot of makeup.
But what I was really surprised, I was surprised, but I was really what I noticed was that watching the trailer, I already saw kind of how good Swinton is at differentiating the two, playing them as two separate people, so that when you watch it, you could conceivably forget that it is still the Swinton as both characters. I thought that was very apparent in the trailer, and that kind of really piqued my interest. I was like, oh, but this could be really cool to watch.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out when it hits a streamer, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This isn't technically the real trailer, but Zootopia Plus.
Yeah, this was weird.
Yeah.
I have nothing really.
I know
to
you've
say.
already made note of it. I think the most notable thing about this is that this is like a third party, very bizarre release trailer, and this is coming out this week, and they have not been promoting it.
Yeah. It's really weird.
I didn't know until I opened up Disney Plus the other day, and they had Zootopia at the front. And they said Zootopia Plus comes out November 9th, and I was like, it does?
I had the same thought.
I really, when I opened up Disney Plus, I'm like, oh, okay. And I just went to Willow.
It feels like it's like an anthology almost.
It does.
Oh, it is. Okay.
It is. They told us that
Yeah.
from the start.
Oh, I don't know.
To be perfectly honest, I mean, I like the original Zootopia movie fine. I don't know if I'm like raring to dive back into it.
Oh, but here's the thing. Here's why I want to put this one on here. Sorry, I got a little heated because actually this really ticks me off because I don't understand. Zootopia is great. I love Zootopia. I think Zootopia is an amazing movie. I would love to watch more in that world. And so seeing short vignettes set within the movie, set before the movie, set after the movie, cool. Really into that. Love it. It's coming out on Wednesday. Where's the damn trailer?
You know what that probably
Something.
means? It might mean it's really bad.
And like that even if it is, the fact that I stumbled on what is essentially a bootleg third-party trailer for this show that comes out on Wednesday that is set in one of your most popular movies was insane to me. I was like,
Yeah, especially
what are we doing?
Especially when like the Baymax version of this got like 3, because that's essentially it's like in that same avenue of like, you know,
shorts and stuff.
Yeah, what they were doing. This is the Disney Film Studio making these shows. I agree, but like to your point of like, well, maybe it's just that bad, and I'm like, it can't be worse than Pinocchio. Like the Disney, you know, like it can't be.
No, it's
and like
true.
they'll promote the crap out of anything. Like it's very weird that they're not.
Yeah,
I'm excited about this because I think the world of Zootopia is very clearly fleshed out and very vibrant and very full.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea that we'll be able to go into more corners of that world, I'm super excited for. I have no doubt. Like Disney and Pixar both excel at their shorts.
Mm-hmm.
They almost always are a hit because they know how to do good, talented, beautiful looking short animation storytelling. So I have no doubt these will be enjoyable. It's just very bizarre that they're not promoting it.
it is really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange. And that honestly the only reason why I put this on here to kind of point out like this is the only look of this show that we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
And it's coming out on Wednesday.
So that's crazy.
It's weird.
Disney's usually market the shit out of everything.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with something like Zootopia, you would think there would be like more marketing and more like, hey, here's what's going to happen. And then
We
'Cause
just
even
had
when I
Disney Plus Day, right? We just had
Yeah.
Disney Plus Day. Why not release a trailer then?
like the trailer we all watched, that was like the Slurp one, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because I saw that. I was like, okay, this is weird. Maybe there's an official one. And I couldn't find an official one. I'm like, what the hell? I thought I was like, either there was a glitch or something happened. And I'm glad that this is the one we all watched because I watched like 2 different ones for the same footage, one with talking and one with just musical notes. So I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
If you go to the Zootopia Plus like page on the Disney website, it literally just says coming to Disney Plus in 2022. Nothing else. It comes out on
Right.
Wednesday.
No trailer.
There's nothing
What?
on this page.
What is the deal? Why is this happening?
That's a blank page, y'all. What's going on?
Okay.
It's just so weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Unless something else comes out on Wednesday that they're trying to just like bury it, but like, why would you bury Zootopia? Like,
watch that trailer's going to drop tomorrow. Like
Yeah,
a proper
probably.
trailer's going
honestly,
to drop tomorrow.
Probably.
because we're getting a Glass Onion on Monday, so Monday is usually when they reveal trailers, but that's like 2 days.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? Not only that, God of War comes out on Wednesday. Hey, kids, go watch Zootopia while Dad's playing God of War.
Are you kidding me? That 9-year-old's playing God of War with me. Boy.
It's very intuitive. Boy, get me a soda.
Exactly.
Boy intensifies.
Boy intensifies.
Boy, intensifies.
Troll.
This looks awesome.
This does look awesome.
Yeah, this reminded me of like, yo, what if Europe had their own King Kong?
Right.
Like, yeah, it looks very similar to a King Kong Godzilla movie. Or maybe like, he's not gonna end up being that bad. He's just a monster trying to live. And it's multicultural, which I'm always a big fan of. Yeah, this looks Netflix.
Yeah,
Netflix.
Netflix.
This looks very, very good. Love it.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for this movie. I like the first trailer, but man, that was I vibing with this trailer like crazy. I thought some of the stuff we saw, the troll looks incredible.
Yeah.
The scale of that thing is awesome. Well done, guy who made Tomb Raider. I know other things, but like I only saw Tomb Raider. Wild. I'm so stoked for this.
I really like the use of In the Hall of the Mountain King for this trailer.
Mm-hmm.
They did a
the
good
music,
job of it.
making it spooky. Yeah, it like hardcore gave me 1998 Godzilla vibes because you got the lady and she's looking at the foot, and I'm like, oh, she's Necropolis. I love it.
Honestly, I'm so glad.
Foot stepping over the person.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad that someone else caught that, because when I was watching that, I was like, this is giving me 98 Godzilla vibes, but I'm actually like very intrigued with
the
this
house is the submarine that lands on shore. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Looks very good.
It does look good.
Man, the lead up to Godzilla showing up in that movie is really cool.
It is.
All right, anyway. Yeah, I'm super stoked for this. Disenchanted.
I'm actually very excited for this movie.
I was excited with that first trailer, but I am more excited now knowing where the trajectory of like she's becoming evil without knowing it. Like she's becoming an evil stepmother. I think that idea is awesome. Love it.
The second this trailer ended, I'm like, oh, I'm all for this.
Mm-hmm.
I am all for this story. I am ready to go. It's weird. Enchanted was one of those like pop culture things that are phenoms that happened in the late thousands where I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a thing. But now I'm just like, oh no, I want to see this happen. I want to see this progress. Let's go.
I love Enchanted. I've been dying for a sequel. And I kind of knew what they were doing from the first trailer, and I like the first trailer a lot. In this one, I didn't like this trailer as much as I liked the first one. Mm-hmm. I will say that I think the first one's a better trailer. It got me a lot more hyped than this one. But I do like kind of seeing like, she kind of got the life she wanted, but now having moved to this new area, things are so different, and she can't really cope, and so she's like reverting back to who she was prior to the first film. I think that's really cool. But other than that, there's something about this trailer it just didn't feel like it was edited well.
I'll agree with you. I don't think it's a better trailer, but it gave me more of the story, which I needed to be more secure in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Ben.
No, I was going to say the line that made me really get hyped for it was when Giselle talks to Maya Rudolph's character and says there's only room for one villain in the story. I'm like, oh, yes. I don't know why, but that just like triggered something. It's like, I want a villain showdown. I want this to happen. Let's see these two ladies go at it. I'm ready.
I love bad bitches. I relate. I do too.
What stood out to me for me about this trailer is that I was always kind of sad that Disenchanted was going to Disney Plus instead of to theaters, and I felt like it was gonna somehow be lesser than the first one was. But I'm happy to see with this trailer that it has just as secure a budget, if not more, than the original did. Maybe with the only difference being like there was a lot of on location in New York shooting in the original, and certainly there's not the same amount of on location stuff here. But otherwise, like everything's measuring up. Even like we see a little bit of Andalasia fully animated, and it looks great. Like they didn't skip around on that. I'm really happy to see that that it feels like it truly will match up to Enchanted.
I'm glad all the original cast, they're all back. I love to see James Marsden sing. Like, do you guys always sing as often as we can? Like, I don't like love Enchanted, but like I am happy to revisit it. Like I need more Amy Adams in movies. Is what I'm saying.
I'll definitely give this. I'll probably give Enchanted a rewatch before I watch Disenchanted.
I really like the line where he's just like, last week the whole city was in a giant whale.
The whole kingdom last year.
The whole kingdom last year was just in a giant whale. I thought that was really funny. I love the squirrel that turns into the cat because of the trope he's falling into.
I'm not an evil cat. I'm not an evil cat.
What was I gonna say? Oh, it's gone. Oh well. Poof.
Disney Plus coming soon.
Oh,
I think it's
Disney Plus. If this were Zaslav, if Zaslav was running Disney Plus, this movie would never have gotten made. Because
that's true.
He's all like, oh, anytime we get to rag on Zaslav, big budget movies don't belong on streaming services; they belong in theaters. And I'm like,
it would have been made but not released.
Tax write-off.
Yeah, I think it's very colorful, and I really am. I'm really happy about it. I'm really happy that it looks like Enchanted again.
Yeah.
Avatar: The Way of Water.
I'm really happy that it looks like Enchanted again.
What do we think about this one?
I'm here for it. Like it's. I'm not like more excited. Like it looks really good. Because they're still not showing us like what the whole movie is. So like they're showing us like really pretty shots. And I'm like, I know the movie looks pretty. It's
not the part of the movie that you're.
Yeah, that's not the part I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Are we doing Pocahontas 2 again? Is what I'm kind of wondering. But like no, like
it definitely doesn't seem like it's Pocahontas 2.
Yeah.
I don't see them having taken her back to the
I
new
know.
land.
No, it
make
is,
her go to parties and separate her from John Smith.
It is very much like there's an underwater version of the Na'vi, and like they're gonna try to team up with them to help take out the humans, but also humans are now becoming avatars because we know Stephen Lang's character shows up in this movie and he's an avatar and he crushes his own skull. That's him crushing his own skull, defeating his own humanity, and becoming an avatar. That is the coolest shit. I'm so excited for that character because like he's so badass in that movie.
I will say I was very surprised by how little footage there was of the human boy.
Yeah.
In this trailer. The fact that that's almost an entirely omitted storyline from this trailer. I'm like,
yeah.
This movie's stuffed.
It's for over 3 hours long.
I'm excited by the aesthetics of it. I really love the marine world stuff. I'm a little weirded out by Sigourney Weaver's voice, but I'm really into the entire marine world aesthetic. I think I would feel remiss just because I've seen the conversations happening of what some feel is an amount of appropriation of Samoan tattoo representation on some of the Na'vi
white dudes
in the way that it's being done.
Yeah.
Now I'm not familiar with everybody who's in the cast, who, if what race they are, but there's certainly a concern of like white playing indigenous proxy.
So James Cameron specifically hired a bunch of people who are indigenous and not white to play a lot of these. There are some white people, yes, but a lot. Yeah. But that was a big thing happening on Twitter, and people were like, "No, look at the cast list. A lot of these people are not white." So that is something that like don't be worried about that part.
Which is great. Yeah. And that is one of the points. Yeah. But the use of the tribal tattoos, some feel is very. God, they had better words for it that I don't have right now. But very, very, very much for playing to in a mean way of me saying it, playing to a woke aesthetic, trying to get people more on board with something they've embraced in other places, thanks to performances by people like Jason Momoa or Dwayne Johnson, where that has become more and more frequent to see people with those in film than it used to be. Mm-hmm. And putting that onto the Na'vi, was that something that they should have done? And I think that there's an amount of a discussion for that, and certainly not us to have necessarily, because we are for white dudes who that does not pertain to, but I do think it's important that that's out there, because there's still an amount of like, how much does James Cameron's film appropriate on indigenous culture without referencing it directly, or without honoring it directly? Yeah. And that was certainly a problem that a lot of people had with the first Avatar, and I think there'll still be some of that controversy spilling over into this one, even with actors of the appropriate race cast into the roles.
This is not me pushing what you're saying. This is me just adding to it. What I'm going to say next. Zoe Saldana is a lead, and Laz Alonso from The Boys was also an Avatar as a lead. So like there are multiple people of color who are leads in Avatar, and people just seem to forget that. Yeah. Again, that's not me saying that there are white people in there, and like having white people with dreads, which is something that's going to be in this movie. That's another conversation. But like James Cameron is a better filmmaker than others in terms of those kind of aspects. Mm-hmm. Can always be better though, you know.
James Cameron's heart is always in the right place, I think. Yeah. He's a very sincere, like, wants to save, like, he's a very sincere environmentalist, like, quite frankly. Like he is Avatar is made because he's an environmentalist. Like he's trying to push the agenda of being better about our planet. That's
It's
what
his
Avatar
passion project, yeah.
and that's all these Avatar films are going to be, is that he's trying to get us to learn to better respect our planet.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, looks incredible. Like, people complaining about CGI, you guys are nuts. You guys are truly nuts. Are you watching this in 480p?
People who are complaining about the CGI are blind. Like, quite frankly, like, the CGI is incredible. The movie looks gorgeous. I am stupid excited for James Cameron films. Don't care what they are, quite frankly. So like, I just kind of, that feeling has kind of come with me into Avatar 2. I like the first Avatar a lot, but like Avatar 2, I'm hoping for something really great, Mr. Cameron. I really liked what we saw of kind of this, like, obviously there's new humans in this that have like come to Pandora or were already on Pandora. And there's a new kind of human Na'vi war that's kind of brewing under the surface, and they have come to the aquatic Na'vi to ask for their help. I'm into that. I like that. I like Sparks. I love the look of the marine life. I think that looks really cool. There's like a Kamehameha wave that pushes a whale out in this trailer that Sigourney Weaver's character does. I really wish they never told us that was Sigourney Weaver. I wish they had waited to tell us till after the movie came out.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
I look at that character with far different eyes now, knowing it's a 70, 80-year-old woman playing a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah, and she's doing press tours talking about it too.
Yeah,
I was like, you're not hiding it.
She could have been like, and like they shouldn't. They announced that it was happening, and like they could have kind of played it off like Flula Borg and the Suicide Squad, just saying he's the star of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Like they could have played it off that she's talking about the role without talking about what her role actually is in the movie. And we learned that I've been seeing her. I think the look of that girl is incredible. Could they not work on the voice a little bit more? It's not bad. It's clearly not just her natural voice. It is a higher pitch, but it just kind of feels like she's doing an impression and not like she's a 14-year-old girl.
I have to imagine. I mean, we're only a month out, so like it's not like they're gonna fix it. But like, I have to imagine when we get the full movie instead of just little spurts, because we got very little, to be honest, if we're actually talking. Mm-hmm. It did sound weird, but like I think in context and everything, I think it'll work out, because I trust Jimmy Cam.
You're right. There is an amount of like, we could be looking at this film, like looking at the film. She has kind of the most substantial dialogue line in the trailer, but looking at the film as a whole, it could become not necessarily a Stockholm syndrome, but it could work better in the context of the full feature film. I hope that's the case. I'm not saying it as like a negative. I know. I was surprised at how much of modern Sigourney Weaver was in that voice.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of what you guys said. I want to point out just two other things. One I think is super cool, which is that James Cameron has included everyone from the writer's room for story credit.
For all the movies, yeah.
Which is really great. So all their names are up there, which is really nice, because as many have pointed out, like, most won't do that. Mm-hmm. And as far as like what I was bringing up earlier, my main thing is that what I'm hoping for is that the film is good, and then that it's received well enough where if there are those controversies, what we could see is that if we are to get a third, potentially fourth and fifth as well, that Cameron can include more of people coming in to further make it representative of their own, what they want to see in it, what kind of culture they can actually place into it, because like it's a fictional thing, but it is playing with the aesthetics of something that
look at Namor,
that is based in our real life. Yes, exactly. And do something like that. So if those controversies do exist, I hope they have the opportunity with future ones to bring more people in to improve upon that part of it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's it. Anything else you want to bring up?
Looks pretty.
Ben, you need to watch that Sonic Frontiers prologue.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Move into our main topic. Talking about 1988's Lucasfilm classic, Willow, starring Warwick Davis, Val Kilmer, others. I guess. Hey, look, this movie came out in 1988, but full spoilers if you care.
We said it up top, but if you're only watching,
I think that's a fair claim because there's going to be a lot of people watching this movie because of that show coming out soon.
Yeah, there's a show coming out the end of the month.
And I think there's going to be a fair amount of people who get a little bewildered.
Who has never seen this movie before? Me. So just the top two.
Okay.
I see every movie.
I saw it so long ago. It was practically like watching it new.
No, same. I watched it when I was like 10. So
I remembered far less of this movie than I thought I did. I'd appropriated some parts of a different movie into this movie and created sequences that apparently didn't happen.
I definitely think I have been mixing up Willow, Dark Crystal, and Labyrinth my entire life. Now that I've seen them all relatively recently, I'm like, okay, you're all different.
I've definitely been putting pieces of Merlin into this movie.
Oh, Sam Neill Merlin?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. She's got the voice like this.
You're watching this movie. Where the hell is Sam Neill?
No, it wasn't anything that egregious, but like small things, small sequences where I'm like, I think that might have been Merlin now.
Yeah, so we're talking about this because the new show is coming. Lucasfilm now only exclusively does TV shows for the time being. But they did this movie, and I think it's the only movie that Lucasfilm produced that I hadn't seen. So how do we want to start with this?
The way we usually do, which is what did you think of it, Brandon?
Well, I wasn't sure because we do that for new movies, not old ones. But I really liked this. I thought this was a blast. I love the visual effects in it. Especially have a more appreciation for the visual effects having seen ILM, the Light and Magic documentary. I really like this. And after this, I watched the TV show, and I got really hyped for that TV show.
Oh, the trailer?
Oh, the trailer.
Yeah, we did too.
Yeah.
We did too. You're like, oh, they're there.
That trailer looks real good.
That trailer, and now with context, looks hella good.
Yeah.
I really like this movie. I'm going to call it really good, not great. I think it's probably like 30 minutes too long. It definitely has some pacing problems for me. But yeah, the special effects and the characters really carry this movie for me. I think Warwick Davis is super charming. Val Kilmer is the most charming he's maybe ever been. He's so fun in this movie. I think the brownies don't need to be there half the time. They're pretty annoying. Sometimes they're great. Sometimes they're not for me.
They overstay their welcome.
I think they overstay their welcome. They didn't need to be in the entire movie. Otherwise, I had a really good time. With these older movies, like, do they hold up? I think this one mostly does.
Yeah, I'd fall in a lot of. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
I might be the one outlier where I don't think it's a bad movie, but I'm not totally in love with it. Mm-hmm. But also, after seeing the trailer, I'm more excited for it now because I'm looking forward to the TV show, and I'm glad I did see this movie. After I was done watching it, I was talking with Fanny, and I said this is probably one of those movies that if you grew up watching it, kind of like Neverending Story, you would absolutely love it. Whereas I would definitely say it's good, but maybe some of the magic is lost on me now that I'm older, and I've been not to say because there were times where we're watching, it's like, wow, you could definitely tell that these were older special effects, but it's like, but wait, this is 1988. At the time, these were groundbreaking special effects, so I can't be too harsh on it. I can't be too harsh on it.
I'm not kidding you because I know you haven't seen the documentary. That morph effect with the witch was a groundbreaking special effect at the time that had never been attempted before. And they completely created new technology and a new way to make that look. And it like changed cinema forever. Like quite frankly.
ILM is very good about changing cinema.
I mean, you could definitely, but once again, you could definitely tell that this is older, but still like seeing the size comparison, it's like, that's still really, I still think it's really cool seeing how like the brownies with Willow. I'm like, that's actually still really good effect for this is once again, 1988. This has never been done before. So I still like the movie. I do agree it's way too long. It was like, oh my God, but I do like seeing Val Kilmer in it. I thought I enjoyed Val Kilmer a lot, especially how his teeth got better throughout as the film kept going.
Wiping the dirt off.
Yeah, like his teeth are just disgusting when you first meet him, and then it just keeps going on and on. There were some campy bits of it, but other than that, I liked it.
Yeah, I lean in the Ryan direction. I think it's a little long. I liked it though. I think that, perhaps Ben is correct. There's another one of these blind spots of his for the late '80s, early '90s, where he just missed the boat and therefore can't get on board. Is possible, but I think it mostly holds up pretty well as just a story. There's some bits where I think Willow's arc is slightly unpolished, and I think that did a greater disservice to the film upon watching it as an adult than I ever cared about or noticed as a child. Because I felt like in no small way, I kind of felt like Willow's movie got taken away from him partway into the film, and it bothered me more upon watching it as an adult. And that's one of my bigger problems outside of the length. But otherwise, I still really like it. I like a lot of special effects. I agree with Ryan that the brownies just needed to go at a certain point. But we'll get into it.
I do
mostly positive.
I do want to push back a little bit on. And now, Ben, if you over exaggerated, that's fine. But you said it was way too long. I don't think it is way too long, personally. I know you guys have mentioned the length. I do think it might be 15 minutes too long, maybe 30. I don't know if I'm willing to say that, but I do think the pacing in the beginning is a lot slower than the pacing in the second half of the film. The second hour really trucks a lot, like really starts moving.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in fairness, like that's where I started to really get into the movie, because there is a good hour probably that kind of moves at a pretty slow pace, and some more movies than not at the time had a pacing like that, but then as the movie goes on, the pacing went faster, and I was far more interested in the second half than the first half. I'll admit that.
Mm-hmm. No, I actually completely agree with you. Like the first half of the movie, that's where I really felt the trudging. I would say because it's like a 2 hour, and it's not a 2.5 hour. It's like
two and change.
Two and change. I would say this would be a lot better as like maybe 135, 140. Like if you could like trim the fat of the first half, because I want to say once they found Raziel, and they go to the mountaintop camp, that's when I really started paying attention. Well, I was paying attention, but that's when I was really starting to get more invested with it. Like
it takes too long to get to where we need to be, I think.
Go ahead.
Sorry, like one of the things like we see through a whole bunch is how good Mad Mardigan is with a sword. And then you finally see how good he is because when he finally gets a sword in his hand at the very top in the mountain, in the snow camp, then I'm like, oh, okay, he's not just talking shit. He actually is really good with the blade.
Flipping swords left and right.
Yeah, I was like, where's this amazing swordsman we've been promised for the past 45 minutes? I don't see it. I just see like a bumbling idiot who's trying to get out of being
I think
helping a wife do with infidelity and blah blah blah.
I think that's the art. That's like the thing though. It's like he jokes that he's the greatest swordsman in the world. Then you see him like, oh, you actually are. So I think I don't have a problem with that.
Ben's starting to change topics, so I want to go back to what he was initially talking about, which is like trimming the length. And I'll say like what I think it fundamentally is that it just takes a little too long to get to Val Kilmer. I don't think any of the movie is too slow after we get to Val Kilmer. I think it's all fine. What I do think is that only Willow and Migos should have left the village, not the whole party that we're going to end up ultimately just parting with anyway. That ultimately became kind of silly and pointless, and we didn't need to do it.
Yeah. Is it bad?
It feels like it's there to pad the idea of how far they traveled more than it is anything else, and I just didn't need it.
Yeah.
Is it wrong for me that I was wondering, like, because you guys know I've never seen this movie before, but when we got Burgle cut, like when he's part of the party, is it wrong for me that I was hoping that something was going to happen, then he was going to die during the journey? Because I thought
he's a bad guy.
He's a shitty guy.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, because I thought all of them. It's weird because I thought that all of them were going to go on like this Lord of the Rings-esque journey where some of them aren't going to make it back, and I was like, I would love it if the guy either turns traitor and gets his comeuppance later, or he dies in this stupid way.
I agree. If they would have stuck with all of them and they slowly lose their party as they go, I think that would have been better. But like we meet a bunch of people and then we just leave them behind for no real good reason.
And then when they bounce, I'm like, oh, that's kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah.
This is a good spot to say what I was going to say was that like I spent the whole movie thinking the village was destroyed. Because there's these people that show up. Oh, the baby's with this village. Go check it out. And so like that's it's like, oh, they know about the village. So I kept waiting the whole movie for the shoe to drop of them coming to the village and it being destroyed. And I was like, I don't know. I'm not seeing the wife in the sequel series. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought
interesting because like that didn't cross my mind at all, and it might have been just because I knew they went back to the village at the end.
Well, but
I don't know.
like I had no idea. So like,
No, I get it. I don't know if as a kid I ever had that read. That's too long ago. So that never entered my brain.
when Migosh and Willow were going back to the village, I was thinking to myself, like, this is where they're going to find their entire home in ruins. Everyone's dead. And then it's like, oh shit, we got to go back and get her. Because that's like, there's going to be like a heartbreaking lament. There's going to be like, no, I need to save her. That was the one thing my wife's told me to do, and I messed it up. And then they're going to go try and find Med Morgan and yada yada. But then it's like, nah, brownies show up. And then it's just like, nope, you got to go. I was like, I don't know why I was looking forward for the village to be destroyed. I'm kind of glad it wasn't at the end. Good.
I want to be clear. I wasn't looking forward to it. I just kind of expected it to happen. Just for whatever reason. I just kept thinking to myself, like, oh, when are they going to find out the village was destroyed?
Yeah.
But like by the end of the movie, like I realized we're coming to the end. I'm not thinking like, oh, they're going to get there and the village is going to be destroyed. What a horrible ending for this happy fantasy movie. I just kind of spent a lot of the movie thinking like, so that's what happened, right?
Yeah.
If I'm changing topics unless you guys want to say.
No, I'm good.
Okay. If I'm being very critical of the film, not great at its female arc for Swarsha.
Oh no. Yeah.
Largely because we get a man saying that she's going to turn on you someday. She would never. And then yada yada yada, she's constantly evil. He has his love potion moment with her, and that, I guess, makes her look at him differently. And then she decides, you know what, I'm gonna go with that feeling. I'm gonna go with getting laid. I guess there's just so little given to her or present, and it kind of threw me because in my brain I anticipated, like, I was certain that there had been some like kind of picture like Han and Leia in Empire Strikes Back on the Falcon scene between Swarsha and Morgan, and the fact that there wasn't really kind of threw me for a loop, that there wasn't some like more bonding scene, not only just between her and him, but also her and Willow.
Her turn is like very immediate, and it's kind of just like almost out of nowhere, because they don't like show that she has good in her really at all.
She's not a damsel in distress character, but she's just as shallow. Yeah.
And I knew the arc. Like, even without remembering the movie, I saw the arc. Like, she was gonna join their side, but I was hoping that like she would feel conflicted, or she was just as bad as everyone else until she decided just not to be. And I'm like, okay, I guess.
Val Kilmer's magic kiss.
I mean, Val Kilmer's.
It doesn't even seem like it's that. What it really is, because like he doesn't kiss her first. She pulls him in for the kiss. What it really seems like happens is that they're in the fight in the castle, and then Mint Morgan kicks another guy in the face, and she's like, wow, he kicked like I kicked.
Yeah.
And then she decides, I'm going to pick him up and kiss him.
I like the way he fights.
Yeah. I was kind of like, you get the love potion or the love dust thing, and then like when they're on the horses and when she breaks free, I was kind of hoping for, I don't know if this is me trying to correct the film and make it a little bit better, but obviously she's like, you're saying all this stuff and you're saying this isn't true. And she breaks away, and then they actually fight. And then she realizes, oh, I've met my match. This guy's actually a really good sword fighter. And then you still slowly but surely start seeing that she gains respect for him. And then there could be more talks with Willow's like, no, we need to save this baby because your mom is doing some really bad shit. And she's doing bad shit. Why are you doing this? And then, because her turn is just kind of like I'm good now. Yay. Yeah. Or hello. Zuko here. Not like that, but
it's very, I will say, like, on the note of Swarsha, like, it is the one part I do like is that she is the one who has agency. She initiates the first kiss. Mm-hmm. It was something I appreciated, that she's the one that picks him up and pulls him in, rather than it being something he does. I'm like, oh, it's like her one clean moment of like female agency.
Yeah.
Well, he does kiss her in the tent. Like, he cuts the tent down, then you see her. It's like a very quick thing. Like, he goes in for a kiss, but it's like the drape falls down. But you're right, she does pick him up later in the movie.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Like, she has this moment where really any other film, especially any kind of modern film, would have used the idea of her being captured to kind of give her some bonding moments with her captors, the heroes of the movie. But she doesn't
John
get
Carter.
it. Like John Carter. She doesn't get any of those. She just kind of escapes, and we then we see her again at the castle, and then but by the end of the fight, she's a good guy.
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of happens. Like, I don't disagree with that.
I also think it's very interesting, not necessarily bad, just interesting that the prophecy around this baby is all about how she will be the undoing of the evil
Bavmorda.
Bavmorda, and like not really, like that we'll never see that actual part of that prophecy come to fruition. It's not something. It's like about her, but it's not. It's not her. It's, how did you describe it? That it was not clear. Like, you looked it up. What exactly happened?
Yeah, I wasn't sure when Bavmorda like dies. I wasn't sure what happened to her.
Oh, sure.
I would.
So Ben, what, like, did you know that she completed the spell and she actually banished herself from the realm? Do you know that?
That's what I figured, because when she was telling us she was going to banish the baby to another realm, but instead she was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the spell backfires on her.
I thought like the spell wasn't complete, and then a bunch of things spill on the ground. I'm like, oh, she just spilled blood, but then it transported her away. I'm like, it was very unclear to me that the spell was complete.
Yeah, it was unclear to me too. Like, when all this stuff falling, because your ritual's now ruined, and she was gonna get struck by lightning and die. But then when I guess it didn't, so
she gets banished.
So, I mean, I thought I don't know what I thought. I thought some deity that she was praying to killed her, but that's really interesting. I had no idea that she banished.
I had the Wikipedia.
I want to bring up Grayson's comment real quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Grayson says, also, if I remember correctly, older movies tend to sit on scenes a bit longer than the newer ones now. I'm usually nervous to go back and watch older movies I love. You're right. Yeah.
That's true.
This film sits on a few scenes, especially in the beginning. So this film has a few setup and payoffs. Probably the most notable being the sleight of hand with the baby at the end there. But because this film takes so long to get there, you kind of forget that that's the thing that Willow can do. And
okay, real quick, just because you brought up like setups and payoffs, nothing makes me angrier than the fact that like he never turns anyone to stone.
Oh yeah, he doesn't.
He tries with
Bavmorda, but the fact that he never used it before that bothers me.
Because he drops one. He drops one on the bridge, and then it's like, oh, that's what that does. And then you're right. That's weird.
Like, I was definitely waiting for, like, he was going to throw it at one of the bad guys, the giant monster that he's fighting, like any of these people. But yeah, they had to save the special effects for the end, I guess.
No, I love that giant monster. I think that looks awesome.
Oh my god! Like, for no reason, it turns into a really gross rated R movie for 5 seconds.
Right?
Where the troll like molts and turns into like a brain. I'm like, what is going on?
They were very happy about the Rancor from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, they went hard.
To take that another step further.
They went so hard for like one scene. Like, we're gonna go so hard on this monster.
Oh yeah, it does look like a Rancor.
Yeah. Before we get too far away from what Grayson said, like, Grayson's totally right. Like, they'll sit on scenes, and they do in this movie to an extent. That's not the problem of what we're talking about, why it's slow. So you can definitely watch like this, or you can watch a lot of your older movies. It's more a pacing issue than anything. Or like, just, was this scene necessary, rather than, oh, it's sitting in the moment too long.
Yeah.
Editing styles have gotten a lot tighter over the years, for sure. There's a lot more trimming. Yeah, going back to the monster real quickly, like so like when that troll just like morphs into this gross ass thing and then turns into this giant 2-headed beast, I was just admiring that thing, because I was like, damn, that's awesome. Yeah. Like, and there's the 4K transfer on Disney Plus, and that creature looks incredible in 4K. Like, they've really made that look good.
It is, again, I might be negative on the brownies because I think they're in the movie too much, but it is so impressive that they're in the movie as much as they are, and they're tiny, and they're just rotoscoped into almost every scene. You have giant monsters, regular sized people, Willow, brownies, like so many different things happening at once, and I'm like, man, this is really impressive. Like, it's in terms of like what you're accomplishing, it's really impressive.
is.
I love stop motion. I think it looks great.
I think what's interesting about this, having Warwick Davis go from basically, well, he was Wicket in Return of the Jedi. That was his first ever acting role, and then he gets this. It's really cool that he had a starring role like this in Willow. And I think Sparks is right that there are a couple of times where it almost kind of feels like his movie is taken away from him. And I wonder if that was perhaps like studio knows, like we weren't sure we want someone. What's the politically correct term to say about?
I think it's little people.
Little people?
I think so. That's what I've seen a lot.
Well, like I wonder if that was maybe the studio saying like, hey, audiences aren't going to accept this as Warwick Davis as a lead, so we have Val Kilmer. Let's kind of make him more of a leading role.
And Val Kilmer, like right at this time, is the hottest he ever has been.
Yeah.
Like from 84 to 1994, he's in like multiple movies every single year. Like he did Top Gun before this movie. So like I think Val Kilmer, like I think you're right. I don't think they didn't want to gamble on a only a little people movie.
And Val Kilmer's great. Val Kilmer's great.
I love him.
I also think Warwick Davis is really great in this too.
Yeah. Even if that's like the way that they're looking at it, the thing is that like there was a way to incorporate Val Kilmer taking a lot of the action in the film, but not making it feel like Willow lacked the ability to affect the plot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that happens multiple times. Not only that, but like that we actively make him feel incompetent.
Mm-hmm.
Like to the point, sorry, I don't necessarily mean incompetent, but like incapable of the things he's supposed to be able to do to protect her. Like the fact that he has to use the morph spell like 3 times, and every time he happens to get distracted, and like that's the thing that's throwing him off, I guess, but like also kind of implying that he's not good at it. And I'm like, what are we doing with Willow? Is Willow a talented sorcerer to be or not? And it's just like that is not given over very clearly.
They're trying to tell both stories.
Yeah,
like he's a great wizard, but also he's not a great wizard.
Right.
Yeah.
But like it's not even like, oh, the potential is within him, he just hasn't mastered it yet. It just feels like he kind of has been given things he can do because people have told him, but not necessarily like any, like the only implication we get of him having inherent gift is when he talks about having the instinct about saying his own finger earlier.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, like everything is like the wand that's given to him, the spell that's told to him, the stone, the nuts that are given to him. Like he's not given the opportunity to show what he's capable of. And if he is meant to become this sorcerer, it's weird that we go back to the sleight of hand trick for the finale.
Yeah, because
then it doesn't involve him pulling real magic at all.
Yeah, maybe
or even if he had used real magic prior to that point and then fell back on like something so simple to best her would be like make sense. But again, like we lack all these beats of allowing Willow to stand apart for what Willow himself is capable of as a character, and it's kind of jarring for a film named after him.
It is true.
Mm-hmm. When I was watching the trailers the first time for the new series, and they talk about Willow as this great sorcerer, and he's got the staff, and he looks like a great sorcerer. I was watching that and going to this and being like, oh, I don't know why I expected him to be a bit better at magic in this movie. Because you're right. There's a bit in the end before he runs in to save the baby, but there's this bit where he's like, oh, I can't fight Bab Morta, so you go do it. And so like I understand, Willow, you're not ready, like, well, or like you would fail anyway or something. She says something really condescending that I don't think was meant to be, that I can't quite remember.
She's definitely like when she reaches human form, she's like, all right, give me the wand, I'm gonna go do it, I'm gonna go handle it now.
Yeah, and so like to the point that I thought she was going to have a betrayal turn, that like, oh, I'm actually the evil witch. Because like I just got like a bad vibe off of her, and apparently unintentionally, because she's supposed to be the good witch.
Yeah.
But when she like goes in, and it's like I kind of felt like, oh, isn't this supposed to be Willow's triumphant stand? He does get it towards the end of the movie, but I was surprised at the kind of condescension that came from the good witch at the end there.
It's just really strange to me. Like even if we're making like this is a Lucasfilm property, so it feels easy to do it. But like if you're making a direct comp to like the Bab Morta and Razel being Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, if Willow's our Luke, he's so robbed of like the ability to make active engagement with the story. He's not given the chance to make decisions that affect the outcome of things very often. Not as often as someone like Luke is.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like it's not even like we have a thing where like Willow is just instinctually good at picking out people, and that he saw something in Mint Morgan that other people didn't see, and that's a decision that he made that affected the outcome of the story. It's not even that. He's riddled by indecisiveness and inaction, and to a point where I don't know what the arc is supposed to be for him in that regard.
I do like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ben. Yeah.
No, like even then, like when Roselle gives Will the spell book at the end of the movie, I mean, yes, I like when he comes home, he's reunited with Kaya, his wife, and his kids. I was really hoping for the master to come up to him and was like, now you're my apprentice. Let's get you to studying magic. Yeah. And even when Will does like the magic trick and with the bird, and the bird poops on Burglegut, which I thought was hilarious, I was like, okay, let's get him to study. Like the only way, because looking at the trailers now, it's like he does become this grand wizard, because your guys are right. Throughout the movie, he is fumbling at it. He doesn't get his true moment to shine of, I do have this potential in me. And I'm like, where is that moment where it's like, he can be the most powerful sorcerer in this land? I don't see that in this movie.
I think I would have preferred if he ended up not being a great sorcerer, and it was his sleight of hand that did save the day, and that he doesn't need to be a great sorcerer to be an important person. Because they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. And like, I'd rather him have a great arc of like, oh, I thought I was this thing, but I'm not. I'm just going to be who I am. And it's just it's a hand magician.
And that's the thing though. Like it again, like this all speaks to some of the points we've been bringing up before. That like, you know, it's not like having a conversation with Willow is part of what changed Sorsha. You know, like these things that are supposed to be like, if Willow is supposed to be unique in his own person, regardless of like magic potential or not, then we didn't get enough of that either.
Yeah.
And so like it doesn't play to that advantage. It's very bizarre from a script perspective to have this story centered around this character who we are constantly putting in a place of like practically of Shinji level indecisiveness. And it's very jarring to watch that and not feel like he's given the moments he's supposed to before the story is over.
Yeah.
As a protagonist.
Ben brought up the end where he puts in where he's given the
spell book.
The spell book. And I don't want that moment to pass without pointing out that I thought it was incredibly weird that behind Matt Morgan, Val Kilmer, there was just Gandalf. And I was watching that, and there's this old man with this long beard just behind him, and I'm like, who are you? And where the hell did you come from?
He heard there was a party. He's like, I want to be part of the party.
And like that's when like the village, the good castle is like freed, and I'm just like, man, what happened? Who are you?
Very Return of the Jedi type ending. Yeah.
Bavmorda's a mummy.
Yeah, she's wearing mummy clothing for some reason. That was really funny. Yeah, I like if you look at something like you bring up Luke, like you bring up Star Wars, and I'm like, Luke's doing stuff in that movie.
Right.
Like he blows up the Death Star. Like he uses the Force. Like what if Star Wars happened like he didn't get the Force? I'm like, well, that's a weird decision.
But like even then, like going back to what I was trying to hint at with that comp, like even if you're taking like a real Willow based look at that, Luke's decision to go get Leia is one of the reasons why everything's able to pull off the way that they do and escape with her. That's his instincts. That's him. Like you aren't necessarily attaching the Force to that. That's just Luke wanting to do the right thing, kind of thing. And who Luke is as a person, and that the fact that Luke is able to endear Han to it is also part of Luke as a person. And Willow's just not given those scenes. He's not given those kind of windows. He's so constantly like it's unfortunate that his character is so riddled in distrust of Mint Morgan that like I can't even attest to like part of the reason why Mint Morgan changes as a person is because of Willow's faith in him. It's more because Mint Morgan just finds himself endeared to the baby, and then also Willow by connotation than anything else. And that also feels like it doesn't serve the purpose of fleshing out Willow.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It feels like, man, it does feel like they had a Willow script, and they're like, we need Willow being less of the main character. And I'm like, it's called Willow. It's called Willow.
I talked about how much I like Val Kilmer. I really like the design of the trolls. The kind of the walking on the wall effect that they had is very unnerving.
Oh,
but
the first time it happens is awesome.
Yeah.
yeah, really, really cool. I really like that effect, how it looks. It looks, because of the way the CGI is, it looks unnatural, in a way that you just can't replicate. Like it's unnatural because it's a visual effects from 1988, but it works exceptionally well because of it.
Well, it's because you're rotoscoping dudes just like running on a wall, and then you're putting it on something else, and it's like it looks unnatural, but it works.
It's so good, and I love it. I rewound it, much to the annoyance of my partner, because I wanted to see that first time again, because it's so unnerving. Like, it makes your skin crawl. I really liked it.
Thinking about just like the larger world, it feels very much like a place where there's a lot of distrust, and it just kind of feels like a bad place everywhere that isn't the village. Like even when we meet good characters, like they're still like, yeah, but the world kind of sucks. And you could attribute that to Bavmorda, I guess, but like it feels excuse me, it feels like another missed opportunity to not give Willow that credit of bringing something that's like been tucked away from the rest of the world to spread. And that excuse me, that we don't get a more fleshed out feel for how these characters feel about where they live and how they're connecting to other people and all that. It also feels like kind of a weird absence inside of this film.
It's a fantasy world where they don't really care about what's happening in the world. It's more about the characters than like the overall, like Lord of the Rings, like this is the plot happening with the different like factions and armies. It's just like, no, it's about Willow and his journey and the people who interfere with that. I wish there was more world building, but I have a feeling that the TV show is going to do so much more of that.
Well, there's the kind of feeling like this is very much taking cues from Lord of the Rings, because it's about two little people going off on an adventure in the beginning, but it quickly doesn't become that. There you can definitely make the illusion of, like, you know, Hobbiton, very similar to the village that we see in this film. That's clearly deliberate, and I think that maybe, like, I don't know if I needed them to have more world building, because I do kind of like how they kind of live in it. But you're right, it does feel weird how, like, it's just, the world is just horrible. There are no good pockets in it except for the one village.
Well, and also that, like, we meet this good army of, I don't know where,
Eric,
who's amongst the good army, leading it, kind of, and none of them seem to care about the baby. None of them seem to care about this prophecy that should, in theory, be important to the people who would be of the good kingdom going against Bavmorda. So it's such a weird way to handle, like, prophecy. And prophecy in terms of fantasy of defeating an evil, the fact that our good forces don't even seem to be aware or really completely care about it is so bizarre.
Which they should know. Because Bavmorda is taking all the pregnant women and taking their children and killing them. So, like, it's not like people don't know what's happening.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's and, like, it's not even clear where that army came from, because it's not the kingdom that the baby needs to get to.
Yeah,
it's a different kingdom,
right?
So, like, what's going on?
I don't expect Game of Thrones, but, like, I just needed a little more, because, like, Eric talks about how, like, there's this place and it got destroyed and that's where we came from. Like, you're just saying words and I don't know what any of it means.
Yeah,
like, just give me a little bit more about, like, whose side is everyone on.
They're just saying, like, magical. I think they're just saying, like, random names, or they just put something into a name generator and they just pluck that out. It's like, but
well, no, I do want to defend that a little bit, because there are films that do a very similar thing very well. Like, they're like, you want to throw out a silly name and say that I'm from Borkeltork and I'm going to fight the hell yeah, into it, love it, great. Yeah. I don't need more. But there is a sense that this film, it's doing it. There's kind of an art to it. It's kind of weird to say. There's kind of an art to doing something like that.
It's being subtle about it, but there's not enough.
And that artwork, that art doesn't really come off with 1980s Ron Howard and George Lucas. Like there is a way that they could have done the exact same dialogue better, or being better written probably, but there it doesn't do it as well as films that do it better is what I'm basically saying, because it's the same thing, but there are films that have done it much better.
Just look at Star Wars. Just look at another Lucasfilm Originals movie. We're introduced to the bad guys, we're introduced to the good guys, we know our stakes immediately. They don't need to go into any more than that. You just see how these are the bad people. He's like they just it's a messy film. This is a very messy movie.
Again, like it, Star Wars as a comparison, like everybody knows the importance of the rebellion. Like all our characters clearly know the importance of the rebellion and the importance of the Empire in the film. That's very clear. It's not clear how these characters associate with what is good against Bav Morda in the world, or the fact that that there's a prophesized baby and they don't acknowledge or care about it is so bizarre. Just a weird take. It's just a weird take.
There are monsters hunting this baby at all times, but no one else seems to know that there's probably a prophecy around.
Anyway, I feel like I've been a little bit negative, so I want to spotlight that. I think all the performances are really good. I think all the performances are very, very good. I really like them, especially for their time. I think that they're doing a great job. I think it's a very endearing, like, family fantasy film, and I appreciate that a lot.
Can we talk about the elf lady in the woods who's like, "Wow, hello, it's me. You're gonna go do this thing. I'm superimposed on the screen," and she's like going crazy.
I feel like they were trying very hard to capture Galadriel from the books. Yes, like the same presence of her before Peter Jackson would create that kind of visual language for how to do that. And so their way of doing that was make her slowly zooming in bigger. And it didn't totally work.
I thought it was hilarious. I don't think it's good, but I thought it was funny.
It was funny.
I really like the costume design.
Yeah. I think the humor in this film is also really good. I was laughing a lot.
Yes, I agree. I think the humor can be very good.
There are some truly, really funny moments, especially with Val Kilmer. There's the bit when they the two-headed monster that I love comes out of the ocean, and Val Kilmer with the evil army runs out with them, and they're all just kind of like, "Oh, we all saw that, right?" And he's just
slowly looking at each other, realization.
Oh shit, I'm in the wrong side.
That all works very well. I think that's one of the better jokes of the whole film.
The chariot chase, I really like. I thought that was a lot of fun.
I did too, especially I think that's where the rotoscoping becomes some of the most impressive. I think for the brownies is in that chariot chase scene.
Oh yeah.
I also really like the humor with Mint Morgan, who might be our Bi King, maybe.
Him and Eric,
his cross-dressing moment, and him clearly being in love with Eric at the same time that he's in love with Swarsha.
Oh, he definitely. There's a scene between him and Eric, and I'm like, y'all gonna kiss?
Eric just can't quit him.
Yeah.
I really liked Eric. I was happy to see him come back in the end. I was like, yeah, Eric.
Me too. When Eric was downed, I really wanted him to reach up to Mint Morgan for a kiss. I really wanted it. But obviously it was 1988. That was never going to happen.
Yeah. The army turning into pigs
is
horrifying.
Oh my god,
super good effects.
I love that. It's simple editing. It's simple cuts cutting between different stages of. There's one dude that's just half pig, and you can see the top of him moving. I'm like, oh man, this is grotesque.
That's the dude who's really half buried underground, and then there's a pig legs. That was awesome.
It's great.
The makeup. When you see Val Kilmer with the snout and the tusks, as there's some really good makeup prosthetics going on.
I have a slight I take slight issue with that scene though. The brownies are normal sized baby pigs, and I think they should have been really tiny pigs.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Should have been little baby pigs.
The moment when we see Val Kilmer turn in full pig face, I was like, and that, children, is how orcs were born.
They were elves once. Although I will say, when Eric came in, when he was riding in to help the fight in the castle, I was like, the ride of the Rohirrim.
I got
it. The sorcerer turning everyone back, and then the ambush of the horses, and the was really cool. Seeing the horses come out of those ditches.
I wonder how long those horses were laying down like that.
Right.
Those are some nimble
Because
horses.
some of them just run out of holes in the ground, and some of them are laying down.
Yeah.
So like it's not consistent.
It's cool. It's like a Trojan horse. Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
I
I also really like the sword fight between the evil guy with the skull face and Matt
Kale.
Morgan. Kale, yeah.
Yeah, he's a totally fine like evil bad guy, but like his sword fight at the end is good because like you think he's dead and he comes back and he falls on his own sword.
Some cool swords.
Matt Morgan has like a sword attached to his armor.
Yeah,
That's
that's
really
like a rapier, but it's a handheld. Like that's very cool.
Oh, and like Sorsha and the other dude have like serrated blades.
Yeah.
That's Ben. That's straight up just a Bloodborne katana. She has
totally.
like the swordfish one. Yeah, it's great.
Oh no, there's like a, it's not a sword, but it's a dagger that this one guy had where it had edges in it. It was serrated, where it wasn't meant to like stab and cut flesh, but it was supposed to catch other weapons, and he twist the handle and the sword would snap.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the type of weapon you don't want to fight against, because it's like you get your sword caught in that snap, but the serrated edges of some of the weapons, especially Sorsha's blade, I thought there's some really cool looking swords here. I really like I said earlier, the costume design. I really love the armor that Mad Morgan gets, or Mad Morgan wears, like right behind Ryan. I really enjoy that armor.
Oh yeah, the Gondorian armor.
Even the Kale's armor, it looks like someone out of Bloodborne or Dark Souls, where it's like this is an evil knight you fight out of Dark Souls, and I'm here for it. I like it.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I want to shout out James Horner's score, which I think is really great. I really like the theme song to Willow. It plays a few times during the movie. I could have done with a few more because I liked it so much, but it plays in a really great way in the trailer. And I always liked it. I always liked it in the trailer for the sequel series, and so I was like, oh, that's really cool. I like how they do it. But having the context of seeing it within its source movie, and then going to the trailer and seeing I was like, oh, that's good.
So James
really
Horner.
like yes, I also, besides Willow's theme, I also really enjoy the use of the bad guy music, which is also in
The Mask of Zorro,
and also in
Enemy of the Gates.
Yeah,
he's used the same theme multiple times, but the thing is, it's such a banger. I'll hear it in every movie.
Yeah, I love James Horner. He's one of the composers I dearly miss because he passed away a couple years ago. I really liked his Avatar score, and I don't know who they got to score the next movie, but good luck. He has some great Star Trek scores. That theme that you talked about, the one from Mask of Zorro, this and
Enemy at the Gates.
Enemy at the Gates is also in Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan.
He just can't help himself.
He just can't help it.
And I really like it. I like him in general. There's another Wrath of Khan cue that I noticed in this that I thought was kind of cool. Yeah, I really like the music. I loved Willow's theme song.
So the guy who took over, his name's Simon Franklin. He worked on basically everything with James Horner. He worked on Avatar. He worked on Titanic.
Yeah.
He worked on Amazing Spider-Man. So he's just taking over for him, which is really cool.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I really like. I'm gonna look up her name.
Is it Sorsha?
Yeah, because I forget her name.
Saoirse
I'll
Ronan.
find it.
It's Person Smith.
No.
First name dot last name.
Joanne Wally. I really like her. One of the things that I know her from most prominently is The Man Who Knew Too Little. She's the main female in that film, which is a Bill Murray comedy that I really, really like. She's also in The Singing Detective, which is another film I really like with Robert Downey Jr. She's very talented. I wish that this film had allowed her to flex a little bit more.
Luckily,
what she's capable of, but she's in the show.
Heck yeah!
So, I won't worry about that so much.
Yeah,
I had mistakenly placed Christian Slater and Val Kilmer. I switched them. So I thought when I heard Christian Slater was going to be in the new show, I was like, oh, they got Val Kilmer back for some reason. That's exciting. But no, it's Christian Slater in the new show.
Yeah, he's reportedly playing a friend of Mads. So like he's going to be a type of character like he is, but he's not replacing him, which I think is the best thing you can do.
Yeah, and I think that if the show continues and Val Kilmer continues to recover, he could possibly show up in a later season.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, watching the trailer was really cool because like you see all the people, the way they brought back, like the face that comes up the screen is Bab Morgan, and I was like, oh, I would never have caught that. That's cool.
I was shocked to see just how many people are returning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is kind of nice. Like 40
Kevin
years later,
Pollak?
and like, yeah, all these people are still around. Kevin Pollak, God, it was so interesting. Like, this has to have been one of his first things, and like, I know him so much from like drama and comedy stuff. That's like not this. So like to see like this is one of his first things being like a little brownie person. I'm like, that's so fun. Acting is weird sometimes.
I mean, he's back in the new one. That's really cool.
Yeah.
We don't know any of the kids' names, but I'd bet dollars to donuts. Aaron Kellerman is playing someone's kid.
Maybe.
Someone we know from this movie.
How many more people are left?
What? Saoirse.
Well, no, that's she. Oh, okay. Well,
Saoirse's
Saoirse's
kid.
That's true. I don't think they're gonna bring in another kid because they're already gonna look for the princess's brother. I don't think they're gonna bring in another sibling.
I mean, anybody could be related to anybody, but I noticed it because Saoirse, you know, her hair's red, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Or,
Her
reddish.
Her red hair is very big. Aaron Kellerman, known for that kind of big red hair.
Sure.
I would not be surprised if she was related.
I kind of agree with Ryan. That'd be weird if like we're featuring her daughter prominently saying that she's looking for her brother and not acknowledging that the other one is also a sibling in the trailers, but it could be, I guess.
Okay. Do we want to rate it?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go
give
first.
it okay.
You go for
I'm
anyone.
sorry, no one wants to say anything, so I'll give it a 7.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think it's good, but there are some problems with it, of course. But once again, it's definitely one of those movies that if you were on the boat growing up with it, it's definitely up in the higher echelon of films that you might have enjoyed a whole lot more. As an adult, it's a little hard to go to, but still very enjoyable. I just wish they trimmed the fat a little bit.
If I look at every other big 80s fantasy movie like Labyrinth or Dark Crystal, like Willow is the bottom of the list probably for me.
Yeah.
Which is not to say it's a bad movie, but like I think of the other big fantasy movies and I'm like, oh, it's not as good as those movies.
To be perfectly honest, if I was given an option of Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, or Willow, I pick Labyrinth first every single time.
No, I'm 100% with you. The power of voodoo you do.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it 7.5.
Okay.
75.
Yeah, I think that I'm very pleased to be revisiting it at a point where I know there's a television show with Warwick Davis coming back, because for the Warwick Davis movie, this felt like a little bit of a disservice to the character, seeing it as an adult. And I wish that there was something more present for his character here. I'm very excited for the show because I think it's going to give me a lot of things that I found lacking in this film. And I think that the film works very well for its family fantasy film from 1988. But there are definitely some blind spots there. I still think the performances are very good. The feels are the feels, and that's what really matters, I think, in a film like this one. So with all that, I would give it a 7.
I'm really excited for that show. I was before I watched the movie. I thought it looked really great. I like the idea of returning to franchises. I've always liked the idea of going to, what happens after Happily Ever After, that kind of trope that we're seeing a lot of in this decade, or the prior decade in this one. I'm happy with it because I think it's really cool that we're asking the question, okay, what happened after? What happened next? And I really like Warwick Davis, and I'm happy to see him get the show. That said, that's about the show, though. I really liked this movie. I thought this was a lot of fun. I really like the cast. I really like Warwick Davis and Val Kilmer in this movie. I was very, very pleased. I've never seen this before. I was so on board. I really liked the production design, loved the music. Yeah, it's an 8.5 for me.
Hell yeah.
Shall we book club?
Book it, Dano.
going, who's Dano? You've been saying that past few weeks.
Book at Dano is from a cop show. It's like lock him up, Dano. Book him up, Dano.
Interesting. Well, Ben, why don't you take it away?
I most certainly will. So my book club this week is Riri Williams' Ironheart Volume 1, written by Eve L. Ewing. Question: any relation to Al Ewing at all?
Not at all.
Okay then. Drawn by Luciano Vecchio. It's spelled Vecchio. So okay.
Ben, you're the best. You do your best.
Yeah, and then what? Giaffo. I swear to God, that's who did the layouts. And Matt Milla, color artist. So, obviously, Riri Williams is going to be a big part of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And I've never read Riri Williams' book in my entire life. And I wanted to dive into something and to explore this character. And thankfully, I have Marvel Limited, so we have a bunch of cool stuff. This isn't her first appearance, of course. But I must say, I love her now. I am now a Riri Williams convert. This is a volume 1. It has like a great being as a first-time reader who first read this arc. This is a great story. It's not an origin story, but this is her after she's done some superheroing. So I would say this is year 2 or 2.5 in her career.
Hi, Ryan Eliopoulos from the Fake Nerd Podcast. Yes, so Riri Williams was introduced in Bendis' Iron Man, and she became the lead character of that book for about 2 years before getting her own ongoing series.
Okay, cool. I did not know that. I probably should have.
And before this series, she was in the Champions.
Yes.
Yeah, because they
this
mentioned
is not her first ongoing.
This is her first. There's another one came out after it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But either way, I am now can say I am a Riri Williams convert. I absolutely love her. I love her story. I love how her as a character. I love her mom a whole lot. And yeah, so what you guys think about this book?
I'll just go first because I've been here with Riri literally since day one because I was reading Iron Man. Actually, Ben, what's happening is you're slowly just becoming an Iron Man fan because I got you to read the Doctor Doom Iron Man book, and now you're reading the Lady Iron Man book. Next, you're just going to read Iron Man.
I'm just going to read Iron Man at this point.
Bendis created Riri Williams, and I'll be honest. I think his version of Riri is pretty good, but I think it really helps when you have a Black queer writer write a Black queer character, as opposed to a 55-year-old white man. Who Bendis, God bless him, he does his best. Like he is a champion for diversity, but sometimes he writes teenagers and I want to scream. So having Eve Ewing, who was once a teenage Black girl, who lives in Chicago, she's a doctor in Chicago. I love Eve Ewing, just so you know. I think this book's incredible. I think it's a great character piece. I love how small scale it is. Riri Williams as a character really shines in this book specifically because like Bendis didn't really go into like what it is to be a loner teenager in the way that like someone who might have experienced it writes. And I think it's a more than anything, this is an exceptional look at a young person becoming a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I would reiterate everything Ryan said. Like I could say it in other words, but it's the same sentiment. I think this is an excellent 6-issue pick. I'm very glad that you chose it. I think that this gives a really nice story about Riri. You get a full picture of who she is and what she's doing. And I really love the way that they incorporate her avoidance of her own trauma and what's going on and trying to bury herself in different things, and her aversion from other people as a major aspect of what they're doing with the story. And I think it makes her stand apart from a lot of our other teen heroes.
She's very they go relatable
telling that.
Yeah.
Brandon.
Oh, sorry, you froze for a second. On my end, I really liked this. I thought this was really good. I never read anything from Riri. I didn't read her Champions. I wasn't reading Invincible Iron Man. So this was my first time reading anything with her in it. I've read Eve Ewing before. I really like her. I really liked how. I really liked what the kind of that's not. Might sound problematic. I really like the personality that she gave Riri. Like I thought Riri was a lot of fun, very relatable. believably a 16-year-old girl or however old she's supposed to be. Like, you're right, Ryan. Like, one of the things that I really, Bendis championed the diversity, great, but he can't write teenagers anymore. He's so far beyond them that when he writes teenagers, he did a lot of DC, introduced a bunch of teenage characters in DC, and they all sound like 55-year-old men or teenagers from when we were kids, not believable teenagers nowadays. And so, like, kind of seeing Riri being taken by someone who's a lot closer to that age, really beneficial for this character. It makes her feel real in a way that a lot of other teenage superheroes probably wouldn't. And I really appreciated about that book, and I really connected with Riri because of that, like, because it felt like such a real character.
Yeah, I think the opening pages, they leave such a strong impression just from the opening, where it's my father dead before I was born, my stepdad who raised me shot and killed, Natalie who was my best friend, my only friend, shot and killed. What do I deserve to live? Why do I deserve to fly? That is such a powerful message. Like, why do I get to live? Why? Like, I'm a superhero. Who's like, why? Who said I could be a superhero? Like, I don't deserve this. And it's like, of course you do, Riri. You're such a great person. You don't realize that you're so caught up in the things you think you might have done or things you think you could have stopped. Like, that's why she wants to be a hero of Chicago, because Chicago in real life is one of the most crime-ridden states, or crime-ridden cities in the United States. And she just wants to help. And there's so many just white dudes who won't let her. Her at MIT is so great. I think Eve Ewing has such a grasp of this character from the get-go. And it bums me out that she only got to write 12 issues. But man, like the stuff like with the supervillain and the 10 rings, all this stuff's so fun. Like next, I mean, this is completely like next arc, but she goes to Wakanda next arc. Like Riri's, this is like the best Riri content. There is more stuff that's come out since then, but I just think like the leaning into the trauma that she went through. She's Punisher. She has the same origin as the Punisher, y'all. Her family was killed in a drive-by. But instead of leaning into the darkness, like she kind of just like, oh, I'm actually just really sad. I don't want to hang out with anyone because like they'll let me down or I'll let them down. I'm like, oh man, being a teenager is so hard. I'm so sorry, Riri.
The sixth issue is a standalone issue of Miles Morales that I really, 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 really liked. I had a really good time with that story.
Me too.
Where are you, Miles? You're missing.
I'm trying to. Oh, now I could. Sorry, I'm trying to.
Let me. While you're doing that, I'll write another one of my notes, which is that I think the artwork is really good, and it makes the Ironheart suit look incredible. I like the Ironheart suit fine enough. And the first time I saw it was on this cover for the solicitations when it was first announced. I didn't love it. I didn't think it looked quite. I didn't really like the aesthetic of it, but the artwork. In the interior artwork makes that suit shine. Like I love the interior artwork for. I know it's a different artist for the sixth issue, but love the interior art in this book. They're great.
Oh,
yeah,
the artwork in this is phenomenal. I absolutely love how the suit looks. I love how when her suit gets put on with, it's like a slow. It's not nanotechnology, but I guess it kind of is. I really enjoy the design of the suit. And even when she's in that dream sequence with Midnight's Fire,
yeah,
and you see her in her 10 ring style suit with the extra added wings and everything, I'm like, I know it's supposed to be her as an evil suit, but I'm like at the same time, I'm like, I want her in that suit. That looks really cool.
There's a reason evil suits look so good.
I really like that suit too. When I saw that, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Midnight's Fire is a cool villain.
Midnight Fire is awesome. I'll get to him in 1 second, but like. I think one of my favorite scenes is when she is at a bodega and it's getting robbed, and she has a PTSD flashback to when her family was killed, and she literally freezes as she's getting shot to almost death. And like that is like to have your teenager go through this in a superhero comic is like not something that happens very often.
Nope.
And like that is just really powerful. And like she's like, oh, I'm fine, I gotta run my by, and like she could have died there. Like her Iron Man suit is not like Tony Stark's Iron Man.
And
I also love how
the art and the paneling of that sequence in particular is really, really good. I've got it here. Right?
Yeah, her eyes go mad, and like the little face, like it's so beautiful.
You have so many moments that are like that where they're doing just an excellent job of blending in so much emotional imagery, especially for a black character.
Yeah.
To have things like that mixed in is really, really good.
Side note, I also love how she creates Natalie, her best friend, as an AI. And also I love how she creates an acronym out of her name.
It is very cute.
I really liked the AI reveal because it was, you know, the way she was able, the reason why she was able to do it, which was kind of this nut she couldn't crack for a while because it's not her specialty. She's talking to her friend and she's relaxing because it starts with cosplay. I love the Star Trek call out for Geordie LaForge. And so like we get like this kind of montage paneling of different conversations that they're having at that night, and that, like, you know, she's cleaning up you can tell because in the paneling you can tell she's cleaning it absentmindedly. Yeah,
the bit where they're listening to the song together.
Oh
yeah,
it's really, really good.
Love it.
And so like that was kind of the thing she needed, because she's been burning the candle at both ends. By the time this book starts, like that was the thing that she needed to create the AI, and she subconsciously recreated her best friend. I thought that was actually a really sweet moment. This
is not a negative because it's not in the book. I don't think it could be negative, but Bendis did put some notion that Natalie, they had feelings for each other, and there's not really any of that in that book, that she's queer. Again, that's not a negative because it's not said in the book, but having previous knowledge, I know you viewing as a Black queer writer probably wanted to have that in the book, but it's very much Natalie was my best friend, and they never say anything more than that. And then she's hanging out with like a guy, and that's totally fine. I just wish Bendis' stuff could have been forwarded a little bit more instead of her just hooking up with a dude, because she didn't just lose her best friend, she lost the love of her life that she didn't realize was the love of her life, and that's from the Bendis stuff though. So like if they just want to like pretend that doesn't happen, I accept that. That's fine. That's maybe a Marvel thing more than an Eve thing. Right. But it was a bit of a bummer that like my best friend, that's all we were. I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of regression.
But you do get the implication that this was really important to her. Like if it's like, because what I think is really great about like the beginning stuff that you read out, Ryan, in the beginning, is like we understand just how impactful and important those two figures were in her life. Even if she's using words like stepfather or best friend, it's clearly like those mean far more to her than they could to the audience reading this. And I think that comes across exceptionally well, so that you still understand that there was a deep love there, whether they're pushing away from it being romantic or not. It's still a love, and I think that still comes across. And I really appreciated the writing there because of that.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Like they didn't negate how important Natalie was to her.
Yeah.
I just didn't. It's not queer erasure. That's not what I'm saying. It is. It's just like I would like. It would have been nice if they just furthered along the thing Bendis was doing.
Yeah.
Bendis was.
No, I feel like
Midnight Fire is really cool. I love the 10 Rings stuff. I love that it's like we just want to amass a bunch of weapons because that's what we do. And like, hey Riri, you're like, I'm the Ra's al Ghul to your Batman. You're the heir to the Empire.
This is another just sweet page.
Oh yeah,
Focus on Midnight's Fire.
Midnight Fire does a Johnny Cage move where he does a kick, and it's like it's like the flashes of Johnny Cage, and I'm like, that's a Mortal Kombat move. She plays Mortal Kombat. I love it. I think it's a really fun, cool antagonist.
I like the origin story that he tells. Like, in order to tell you why I am here, I need to tell you who I am. In order to do that, I got to tell you who my father was. And I was like, yeah, okay, buddy.
Very operatic, 100%. Very, very like, all right, Shakespeare, let's go. Oh yeah, just so many beautiful. Oh, when he comes to her house and he's like, "May I enter?" He's like, "What are you, a vampire? Just come in." Like, that's pretty funny.
That was pretty funny.
I really like the panel page. Again, just spotlighting some good art where she PTSD flashes back to Thanos.
Yeah, that's Civil War. That's Civil War 2.
From Midnight's Fire doing it. I thought that was really good.
Yeah,
I think that again Riri's emotions, like soon after that, her debate with Natalie about her saying like she's going to get herself killed and she has to make Natalie deactivate. She's like, I just need some alone space. And her interiority and her emotionality are both really, really well covered in this 6-issue series. I also really, really like when we get to the end and the cops show up and Midnight's Fire has left the vault and they're like, all right, well, we're going to arrest you. And it's like, and you know that they know that she's black. And so like, that is at least playing on some level of the context here. And she's like, yeah, I got it video recorded. And they're like, all right, well, we're probably not going to file a report because I mean, like, that sounds like
that's too much busy work. Yeah.
But I think we can all agree that the biggest benefit that this book has, because it says "Boo Boo the Fool."
I am Boo Boo the Fool. Yeah, that's great.
The mom
yeah.
says it, and I saw it immediately. I was like, "Oh, we did it, guys!
I
We
love
are
it.
in the pop culture." I'm kidding.
I love that it ends with like Riri having like her own little base, and then just like a bunch of kids who hang out there that are like, all right, I'm gonna help you stay off the street, but you like come here when you need to, but don't stay here all the time.
Oh, I love the relationship between like the MIT like donors and trustees, and like when she's trying to show them cool stuff, and then they're like,
Lame.
okay, and she's like, and here's a pulsar blaster, and they're like, ooh.
Yeah.
I like how she had to bring away, got the children home.
Yeah.
Good scene.
Oh yeah, the story centered around like helping out these kids I thought was really cool, especially that like some of them who need a place to go, she creates a place for them to go. I think is really cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sleazy politician. Second I saw him on screen, I'm like, oh, he's a bad guy. Obviously, just look.
I saw him. I was like, oh, he's the bad guy.
Yeah. I love this Riri goes back to MIT, and every day there's like a new group of people who are like trying to like benefit off of her. She's like, maybe this isn't worth it. I can just go back to my garage and building scraps in a cave.
Yeah, I like the progression of like her mom is the one to say is like, you need something that's yours. Like, because the space in MIT isn't hers. Like she needs something to build on her own, and having that like, oh, I'm gonna make this lab for myself. This is gonna be my space. No one can touch it. Was a really good through line, and I like that.
Good.
Now the quick little scene where she's like, where her mom shows up is like, why aren't you in school? She's like, well, Natalie is, and it flash cuts to Natalie's like, aren't you gonna take notes? I am taking notes, and you better mind your own business.
Can you imagine being a professor in the Marvel universe and just looking up and being like, oh, it's a hologram today?
I gotta imagine with like how crazy space and time and science is like, you can't be teaching the exact same stuff, right? You gotta have a little more extra knowledge, right? You're teaching about multiverses and shit. I love the moment between her and her mom when she's talking about her stepdad, and she's like, "Mom, you said stepdad, but he was the only father I ever knew. He was my father," and that's like that's important, because like step parents are important. They're like, I was the father who stepped up, like that thing. Like that having divorce is important, and like showing that like step parents are important while not seeming like a big deal is actually a big deal. Because like, oftentimes the step parents can also just be like the shitheads.
Right.
And like, oh, you're not my dad. Like, no, like he was her dad. Love it. So much beautiful emotion in this comic book. Can't wait for Wakanda Forever. Oh my God. And there's a TV show. Oh, just some magical stuff in this. So like Riri dealing with the hood. I'm like, all right, like, yeah, I get, all right. Mephisto.
What was I wanted? Oh, the final issue with Miles. I love a good a good like time loop story, and having like if she like enters the time loop, and she goes back in time, because in this time loop it's January 18th all the time. I like the story of like Miles being like, I'm not ready to come back, but I'm we can keep in touch. It's like, we need you to text us, because like you can't just disappear off the face of the earth again.
Yeah.
Right.
You can hang out here, but like,
I also like that the guy was studying him specifically because he's an interdimensional, like small level interdimensional entity.
Yeah.
Hey, these people have insurance, right? Yeah. You blew a hole in the door, but insurance. Who's gonna pay for that? Insurance. That's not how insurance works.
Yeah.
Force works.
I did notice that. I thought I was surprised that it wasn't kind of dived into more. I mean, obviously, probably a different book for that. But like the idea that this person is really only looking at Miles because he's from the Ultimate Universe. I like that that's kind of continued on. Is like, no, Miles is a refugee from a different universe. He still
that is a cool thing to go. I mean, I think we're probably so many years past that now, but like that would have been cool, like a post Secret Wars book of like, what's up with these refugees? How come I could tell and you guys can't? Like Jessica Jones was doing stuff like that, which is fun.
Yeah, Jessica Jones did something like that, and Spider-Man 2 did something.
Oh no, yeah, they brought it. Yeah. The Ultimate Universe like came back. The Ultimate Universe is back now, by the way. Like it's been happening in the Miles Morales book like for like a year.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that he doesn't actually have a book right now. One's coming. It's just kind of a shame that there's been such a long gap.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Riri, you gotta you got a great book here, let me tell you. And after this movie, I just feel like that's the great thing about the MCU is like characters that don't have comics at the time. When those movies or TV shows come out, they get a big bump regardless of like how big or small the character is. And if Riri's gonna like hit as hard as I think she is in this movie, we're about to get a big wave of more Riri books. And I'm like, oh, thank God, thank the Lord. I love her. So good.
Yeah, I really can't wait for that show. I'm really excited for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, obviously, but I really can't wait for that show. I think that she has a really cool armor design, which we've seen kind of behind the scenes photos of. But yeah, I'm excited. I really like this book. Thank you for picking it, Ben.
Yeah.
I literally, this is another time where I just picked a book, a shot in the dark, and when I texted you guys like, hey, this is the book club for this week, when Ryan was like, yeah, man, I was like, oh my God, I did something good. Okay.
Oh yeah, because like it's timely for the next topic, and it's just a great book. And like I love you guys reading characters you don't know anything about, because like every character has value. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of timely, Ryan, it's your book club next week. Do you know?
Yeah, next week is Wonder Woman 1 through. No, I'm just kidding. They don't call him General or King. They call him Goku Kwan, the Feather Serpent God. But before he was the Feather Serpent God, he was just Namor Mackenzie. We are going to read Submariner Revolution from 2007. This is post-Civil War. This is a 6-issue arc about Namor dealing with the ramifications of Civil War. Boy, howdy, I read this book last night. And issue 4, I was like, this is a pretty good book. Issue 5, it turned into a great book. So Submariner Revolution, it's written by a bunch of people. Submariner 2007, you'll find it. Great book. Can't wait to reread it.
All right. So that'll do it. Stay tuned for that. And next week, I don't know, guys. There's really nothing coming out next week.
Yeah, let's talk about Weird.
We can do Willow again.
Is that what it
review it?
Is that
got it? The initiative, real quick, guys. The initiative. Oh, this is my favorite time during Marvel. After Civil War, there was the 50-state initiative where every single state had a superpowered team sponsored by the government. So there was books happening about the most obscure bullshit characters you can imagine. There was Avengers Academy, which had hundreds of teenagers being trained by Taskmaster. I miss the old days.
Anyway, next week will be Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Wow, we're here, guys. Can't believe it.
What's Todd? Is a Wakanda Forever? Please don't do that. That makes me uncomfortable.
That's offensive.
Cool, guys. Check that out. Of course, like this video and subscribe to our channel. You can check out all. Oh,
because you did Wakanda Forever. Another fun tidbit I didn't ever think about or notice when I watched the 2020 thing is that the Wakanda Forever salute is purposefully left under right.
Left under right.
At all times.
Left under right.
Wait.
Your left.
Wait.
Your left.
Under your right.
Oh.
They all do it that way. It is consistent on purpose.
Bing bong.
Man, today's going to be one of those days where I'm going to think I should lock myself out of my office. Can't tell which way is right or left. Did I tell you about that, Ryan?
No.
I think I talked to Sparks after it happened. I walked out of my office, and my office doesn't lock, by the way, but there's child locked on it. So I walked out of my office, and I was really high that night. I walked out of my office, and I closed the door, and I turned on the child lock to make sure that the cat couldn't get in. And I had this moment where I cannot stress enough, I was in the hallway. I had this moment where I looked at myself, and I said, did I just lock myself in the office?
No gummies will get you.
I shit you not. I was there for 2 minutes thinking, I didn't, right? I'm in the hallway, right?
Oh, that's good. That's funny.
Oh my God.
That story is now online for the world to hear.
Hell yeah.
All right, like this video, subscribe to this channel. You can check out all sorts of shows, such as Fake Nerds Watch. The only ongoing Fake Nerds Watch series right now is Star Wars Andor. We might have some more before the end of the year. Who knows? We'll see.
We will.
Basement Arcade is our Let's Play series. You know, we do some video games there. Go check that out. That's Basement Arcade. And Basement Arcade Pause Menu, which is our video game discussion series where we talk about video games.
Yeah. Newest episode has been recorded. It's ready to go. I'm talking with Donnie G Retro of the Gamers Week podcast, and we just do a recap of PRGE, Portland Electro Gaming Expo, because we were both there.
Oh yeah.
Very cool. I saw one of my friends from high school, from elementary school, was there, and we recently reconnected, and I saw that she was there. I was like, "Oh shit, my friend's there. Go find him." And I described you, and she's like, "That describes everyone." I'm like, "That's fair."
White guy with a beard.
White guy with a beard. Literally said that. It's like, yeah, tall, big white guy with a goatee is like, that doesn't narrow it down.
You should have
That's
texted.
everyone.
You should have asked me what hat I was wearing. That might have helped.
Fake Nerd Book Club and Animation Station are also shows you can check out on this channel. Real quickly, Grayson, hello, sir. Or should I say goodbye, sir? Thanks so much for the show. Have a great week. You too,
Bye,
sir.
Grayson.
Enjoy Black Panther, Wakanda forever. You can check out, of course, our Patreon and our TeePublic if you'd like to support us financially. We like to do a lot of things on this channel. It's a lot easier if you want to support us financially. We love you guys. We love your support. But hey, if you want to support us financially, check out those links in the description. Get a cool shirt. Subscribe to the Patreon. Links below. Or you could check out all the links everywhere on our website at fakenerdpodcast.com. That's everywhere. That's our landing page. You can find every link imaginable on that site. Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who watches the live show. And thank you to everyone who watches the replay. We greatly appreciate all of your support. We love you guys. Thank you to Jeremy Bellucci, who did all the music for here tonight. All the music for all of our shows. We love that. We love that, man. He's cool. He's a cool dude. You can find him at Jeremy Bellucci _ Wreck of Time, because his band, the Wreck of Time, has been doing some music videos, and they got a new album out. Check it out. Wreck of Time. From Sand Part 2. You can check out his podcast, Suburban Proctologist, on iTunes, of course, or Suburban Proctologist Official on Facebook or Instagram at SubProcPodcast. Thank you to Mike Matola. Mike Matola, wonderful human being. We love that gentleman so much. He did a couple of logos for us, and he's done a couple of collaborations with us. Hopefully more in the future, near future. You can find him on Instagram and TikTok at Mike Matola. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I don't know, Twitter. Fake Nerd Podcast. We're still there.
We're on Twitter still.
We're there.
On the college leave.
We're not paying $8. Fake Nerd Podcast on all the social medias. fakenerdguys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. I also write for Old School. Nope, that's you. You're an Old School Gamer magazine. Who the hell am I?
Gamer.
I write at Screen Rant where I do lists, and I'm tired of it. Help me do more by checking out my Atomic Geekdom stuff. I work really hard on those, and I love writing those, and I want to do more of those. Check those out. There's links description for some new pieces, and kaijuranmedia.com. I also wrote for kaijuranmedia.com this week.
You did.
I forgot about that. I wrote about the new movie. Check those out. Ben?
You can find me thoroughly enjoying not going to work this week at BenMag27 on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and you can also find me writing for Old School Gamer Magazine, Fusion Gamer Magazine, and GoNintendo.com. Once again, my newest GoNintendo.com piece is coming out tomorrow, and check out all our socials because I will be posting there as well. So, yeah.
Sparks.
You can find me morphing into a sugar glider at Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
Ryan.
James MacArthur was most recognized for his role as Detective Danny Dano Williams on Hawaii Five-0, which aired from 1968 to 1980. The lead character often would use his popular catchphrase, "Book 'em, Dano," at DJ Tony Snark 616.
Interesting. All right, guys, subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podcast, and Pandora. Rate and review wherever you get us. We greatly appreciate it. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Until next time you see us, guys, stay fake nerds.